This episode is brought to you by Naked Fig Soap. Shop over a dozen handcrafted artisan soaps locally sourced and made in Arizona using the finest non-toxic intentional ingredients. Naked Fig Soap also offers facial care products along with accessories like soap dishes, soap saver bags, and more.
Visit their website at nakedfigsoap.com and use code DRUMMINGUP, all one word, for 20% off online orders. And that is the best place to find her now.
Yes.
She doesn't really have a storefront so much as she has
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now,
Yes.
she has her products in certain locations,
Yes.
which again is the best place to find her is at her nakedfigsoap.com website.
Yes.
Or her socials. Instagram is a great spot to find her. Ask her any questions where she's going to be at like a farmer's market.
Yes.
You can find all that out. Or
But coming up, she's
Yeah.
moving to bigger and better opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very happy to hear that because,
Yes.
we just want to
She's
make
one
sure
of our
she's doing
favorite,
okay.
favorite companies.
Oh, yeah. Whenever we're getting low, we always place our order.
Yes.
And again, use that code drumming up,
Yes.
all one word, to get that 20% off discount.
For sure.
nakedfigsoap.com. It'll be in the show notes. We'll have her website. And then the best thing to do is from the website, go find her socials, follow her. That helps her. And by you doing that, it helps us because we know you're listening and we know you're buying her great products. She also offers tattoo care and everything too.
Yes,
so
she does.
just a ton of stuff that she does. It's all locally made and everything. So what was that website again?
That is nakedfigsoap.com.
Using code drumming
Drumming
up,
Up.
all one word, for 20% off at checkout.
Hi there, this is Julian of Gorad, and you are listening to Drumming Up Conversation. Hell yeah.
Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Yeah.
All right, so we have Chas and Elisha here. We are doing a mental health episode. And we, when we had them on last time, we kind of talked about a little bit about having them on and talking about it. We've always wanted to have a couple on because we want to have what they see from the other
And
person.
how
and
it's
how,
dealt with on
Yeah.
each side.
yeah. So how are you both doing today?
Doing solid.
Good. So what does each of you suffer from? We can start with Chas or Elisha, whoever.
This one.
Or is it just one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's both of us.
Okay.
It's both of us. Mine's more mild, so I'll go
Okay.
first. But I suffer from anxiety. I'm diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, one of them. I can't remember. It's been since I was a kid. But I really actually think it's a misdiagnosis. I actually don't think I have that. I think I've always just had anxiety, which are very similar symptoms.
Yes.
So that's one of those things. I think it's just anxiety, and I get panic attacks, and I it's a mild anxiety, but I do have it. So
And then and I think hers has been exacerbated with, certain points in her life, obviously. That have
well, it
come up.
always is, right? Yeah, anxiety.
For sure, yeah. I've pretty much suffered from depression since I was, about 14, 15 years old, pretty badly. And I also have OCD, so that kind of factors in with some of the neurotic, crazy fucking behaviors that I.
Well, and I do too, and I've learned that some of it can help because it keeps you busy as well.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's the way you train your mind. You have these little rituals that even after over a decade of marriage with Elisha, I'm sure she doesn't know about all the dumb shit that goes on in my brain with like a pattern or something else that I have to tap my fucking fingers in a certain way that, normal people may not even realize you're doing shit, but it happens, and it's something you're just compelled to do unless you really make a conscious effort to stop yourself and go like, look, you're being crazy. You've been doing this for like 20 minutes. Stop doing it, or you're going to be doing this shit all day.
Yeah.
Type situation. So those two are my downfall.
Yeah. I have both. So I have
Yep.
both depression and anxiety. I get the ADHD and all that because I was told that early and I was just hyper, but I also had that anxiety of like feeling rushed all the time when I wasn't. I think that was why I was misdiagnosed as well. So I get that. And then
Yeah.
the depression OCD thing, I get that as well, because like if I didn't have my music and even this podcast now, which is why it started, I would probably lose my mind. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think a lot of that, the misdiagnosis, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because we're very, very lucky to live in a time frame where mental health and things that can affect people are starting to come into the forefront, and it's not as embarrassing to talk about, or it's not as stigmatized, even though it still has that.
It
But
does.
the same thing is like with, autism in the 70s, people would just say, oh, you're mentally deficient, you're this and that, and then we started realizing that these things are a giant spectrum, and as we learn more about it, we start to tag it more succinctly, but we still have a really long way to go. And I think that's what happened a lot back in the day. You could have maybe anxiety, you could have something else, and it would be put into that ADHD box. And we're all in our 30s and 40s now, and we're starting to get to the point where we're like, I don't think that was accurate. But most of us don't go back because we've learned how to live with it up to this point.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that is kind of what's happening now as well. And I think as we go forward, hopefully our kids and their kids will have better availability to get diagnosed correctly from the start
Yeah.
and maybe treat those things the correct way, instead of just, this is what we understand up to this point and this is where we're going to go with it for the rest of your life. So we're both lucky and kind of unlucky in the sense that we live in a time frame where we're still trying to understand a big majority of this and how it affects the brain and how it's going to lead you down a certain road depending on the medication or treatment that you get. Because how many fucking times in our lifetime have we heard, well, you've been on this drug forever, it's supposed to do this, but we just found out it also kind of fucks you up in this way too, and we're
Yeah,
going to change it.
exactly. Yeah.
So we're the guinea pigs. I guess if anything, you can look at it like, at least we're trying to make strides forward, or there's people out there that are trying to do something with this information.
Mhm.
So I think I just rambled for probably like way too long on
No,
that.
you're good. You're good. Has it gotten worse for either of you since as you've gotten older, or even from the pandemic? Has it gotten worse because of that?
Leash?
Yeah, my anxiety is has well it's been a roller coaster. I've had it since I was a kid. I used to have it in a certain way. I think it started in a different way and now I have it different. So it's been different for a long time, but I would say it took a turn about 4 or 5 years. No, maybe not even that long. 2 or 3 years ago. So right before the pandemic, I would say about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I would say that it took a turn, and so it presented itself in a different way. And I think it was a change in my job. So I would say that it's gotten worse and different. So now I've had panic attacks for a long time, but I would say throughout my 20s, I was actually pretty good. Maybe my early 20s, I'd had some panic attacks and anxiety, or I used to call them anxiety attacks, but I know now that they're, I was panicking. um, but I would say that, yeah, I had it for a little while in my early 20s, but I was able to handle it very well for a long time. And then I just wasn't. Just one day, small change and a change of job.
Yeah,
And
it started to pile on. I think with me, when I was younger, I always say it was worse when I was younger, but I think it was just in more abundance with the depression. I think I had small periods of time where I felt a lot more mentally healthy. Then they were a lot smaller. Now I think I have a lot bigger time frames where, I think I'm content in a big chunk of what your life is supposed to be, and I feel comfortable in my skin a lot more. But that being said, when it does flip that switch in your brain and you go through those bouts, I think it's 10 times worse now than it was when I was a kid. Um, like for a big portion of our marriage, it was fine, I think. And then there's been that black cloud that's just been hanging over for the last couple of years. And there's times when it gets really bad. And it's one of those things that, like, thank God I have a partner in this that kind of understands that and knows, even if she doesn't understand exactly what I'm going through mentally, she knows me enough that she knows where to be, and it doesn't, it can get frustrating for anybody, but it doesn't frustrate her to the point where it's like I throw my hands up. You know what I mean? Because it's not something you can really do a whole lot about. It just kind of snakes its way into your brain and it sits there like a fucking cancer,
Yeah.
and you have to fight through it, man.
Well, I want to say that, like, yeah, no, it does get frustrating to where I do throw my hands up
Yeah.
sometimes. It does. But I know as a partner, that's when I need to walk away. That's when I need to take a minute and breathe and realize this isn't about me. It's
Mhm.
about him and us. And, it's a chemical imbalance, and that it's very important to understand that he doesn't do this on purpose, and he's
Yeah.
not just a dark cloud, or what people tend to think of. Like, he has a chemical imbalance that prevents him from being uh happy, or whatever, what you might
Just
call it, just kind of normal everyday person.
able to process life in a way where it's outwardly functional, as other people would see it, but it's just the way I have to process things, and it sucks. But I'm in my 40s, man. I'm not going to change. Like, my brain's not just going to magically fix itself and make me content with mediocrity or things. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard way to put it, but
Are you afraid to be happy? Like when you get like okay, things are going good. Like I'm actually feeling good today. Are you almost like no, 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 stop feeling like that? Because that's when shit's gonna hit the fan. Do you get like that?
a lot of ways, yeah, I
Yeah.
do. It's not something that is like the driving force between my depression
Mhm.
or anything. It's not something that, but it definitely feeds into it.
Yeah.
There's
You know
only
better. You're like, no, 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 I feel too good right now. No, I don't like this. Yeah.
people call it pessimism, and I always
Yeah.
call it realism. And it's
Yeah.
not that I think it's impossible to have great things happen. Of course, it's possible. I have a beautiful son. I have a wonderful family. I have a roof over my head. All the things that you would think, like, if you were to write down on a piece of paper, like, I need love, and I need a house, and I need I need to be able to support myself. All those things can be covered, but your brain doesn't take that into account. And there's only so many times you can go through any type of process and see it fall apart, or see the negative things happen, or bad things come with it, that
Mhm.
until you're like, all right, I could be happy and I could be content, but I know that one of these things are possibly like teetering on the edge here, and I'm watching for them. Even if that's not mentally healthy to do,
Mhm.
it's impossible for me not to look at life in situations like that.
Well, I ask that because that's what I do every day. Like
Yeah.
anytime I'm like, okay, things are good. Like we're financially here and da 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 da. I'm like, but something's lingering somewhere. Something's in there.
Yeah.
I don't let myself get to that. Like with the last couple trips we've done and stuff, I've kind of let myself go a little bit more, but I'm there and everything
Yeah.
else, and I'm content. But it's like once I'm done, it's like okay, I've been happy long enough. Now I need to be more realistic. Like
Exactly.
yeah.
100%.
I don't
And
let
and
myself get too happy for too long, I guess is the thing. So
yeah, because it's hard to explain that to somebody
yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
have that mindset, because it
yeah,
sounds like you're just expecting horrible shit to happen to you, and that's not the case. Like,
yeah,
most people that are afflicted with any type of this depression or anything like that, that have that as part of their cycle or whatever they go through, it's not that they're not ecstatic to be doing something good, and it's not that they're looking for something bad to happen. It's just, you're aware of the negative things that could come from everything, and it
yeah,
is more at the forefront of your brain than probably a normal person would take into account. They get that dopamine hit from, like, oh my god, I'm getting to do this cool thing that I wanted to do forever, and it's never about the thing for people like us. It's about the lead up and the work, and once you complete the work,
mhm,
there's a void there. There's nothing, like when we first got together, I used to tell Alicia, because she'd be like, well, why aren't you happy with this? And why aren't you happy with that? And I'm like, I'm never going to be happy with any of it, dude, because there's always a step above, or there's always something else to achieve beyond that.
yeah,
And if I'm not fighting towards that next step or that next achievement, I feel empty inside, man. And it kind of drags you down. So you can attain that thing, and for a split second, you can be in that euphoric state, and then it's just gone immediately. And I don't think people understand that.
And like you said, it's hard to explain. That's why I was, with Alicia, is like sometimes it's hard for us to explain what's going on up here.
Yeah.
And it gets frustrating for the partner because like I don't know how to explain this to you. It makes sense in here, but it doesn't make sense when it comes out of my mouth. Like I don't know how to explain it. And it's
100%.
frustrating for us as well to explain it or try to explain it. And I know it's got to be frustrating for the partner because it's just like, damn, if I could just do this and something would rattle out of my ear or something, I'd be great and let it
Yeah.
spell it out or
Right.
something. But I don't know how to do that. I don't know. And Chaz, I want to ask you too. You said you got about 14, 15 was when you really realized it. Was there like anything when you were younger that might have triggered it or just added up to it?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think so. I think for the most part, my childhood is amazing. My parents are amazing. I never had anything really traumatic happen to me when I was a kid. It was just one of those things where the hormones kick in, and it starts fucking with your brain. I started getting migraines when I was that age as well, right when I went through puberty. And not like the, oh my God, it hurts. Like the fucking crying in a dark room for 8 hours type migraines. And that lasted honestly probably until I was about 32, 33 years old. It was like maybe 2 or 3 times a week at the hardest points where it was just like it's crippling fucking pain.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had any input into that, but I'm sure, chemically, the way your brain changes during that time of your life, I'm sure that all is wrapped up in itself as well. That started kind of dying off a little bit. I still get them, but I get them like those types of headaches I get maybe 3 or 4 times a year at this point instead of 3 or 4 times every couple of weeks. So that's kind of helped a little bit, I think. But there's nothing. There was no trigger. It was just that's the way my brain is put together. And as you gain new knowledge or gain new skills and everything else, and you fill up that fucking nugget in your head with extra shit, and it brings in other things too that maybe aren't what you were going for, the reciprocal feelings and issues and emotions and everything else. And it just the way my brain deals with that is it put me into these large pits that when I was 15 and 16 I didn't understand, and I didn't know how to get to the point where I could make it better. You're never going to find that magic pill or anything, but like I think as you get older, if you can fight through this, if you can do things, you do find different not solutions but pieces that can help, and you figure out more about who you are as a person and what's going to affect you in a certain way, this way or that, and how to address those things. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have with younger generations that are going through these things, and they're doing it by themselves, and they're not reaching out, or maybe they don't have the financial means to reach out because that's a huge issue in this country. They don't have the availability, or they get to the point where they start self-medicating with either it starts out maybe with weed. And look, I'm not an anti-weed guy at all, dude. I love weed. I think it's awesome. But I think if you're trying to mask certain types of feelings and emotions that are coming up, especially at that formative time of your life,
Mhm.
that doesn't necessarily, I'm not saying like, oh, weed's a gateway drug, but if you smoke enough weed and then it stops doing what you want it to do, and you move on to something else and you move on to something else. And let's be honest, a lot of these harder drugs have little pieces in them that, those drugs that you might be taking over from a prescription have those little pieces too, but it's not what we do. So we just find ourselves getting dug deeper and deeper and deeper because we have this stigma and this inability to actually serve the people that have these issues in a way that is easy for them. It's not a good avenue. It drives them further into that type of depression or that type of mental illness until that kind of takes over as well. And we treat that then like, oh, you're in a criminal mindset, you're not somebody that needs help, you're somebody that needs to be put in jail. And I don't know what the solution is at this point in our country or in our time frame. But obviously something has to change. Who knows how that's going to be possible? I know, everybody always says you're just one voice and you can't change anything. And I, unfortunately, I have to fucking agree with that for a lot. It's going to take a lot more than the guys that are just fighting to stay alive and stay, cognizant and be able to function in society. It's going to take more than that to stand up and say, look, there's a huge issue in our country. There are huge stressors in our country that are imposed, and we need to do something about that and actually put the fucking funds or the resources towards that. We need to incentivize people going into these these jobs that are actually going to do those things. I'm not talking about like the therapist that's going to fucking live in a mansion on the hill and make a couple $100,000 a year. I'm talking about the social workers that have to deal with these people before they get to that point. When people do have a mental break and they're taken to a clinic or something, and there's a guy working there for fucking $16 an hour. I know he's there because he wants to be, but there's not enough fucking people doing that. And the reason why is because it's not a viable option if you want to have a successful life. I worked at the county courthouse down here for 7 years. I was a courtroom clerk. I did murder cases. I did child molestation cases. I did the most horrible shit you could think of. And that side of it, I had to quit after 7 years because it was affecting my fucking brain. You know what I mean? No matter what you do, I can't imagine doing what they do and having to deal with the absolutely just gut wrenching things that they have to deal with on a daily basis, and not just from the homeless community here and not just from the poor communities, but even the more affluent communities that just don't want that stigma attached to their families or anything like that. We don't have enough resources available for these people. It's not one of those things that happens. So
Yeah. No, I get
that was probably, I ended up at a way different question than you asked me. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. And because I was going to say too, like when you're talking about the medicating and self-medicating, I think a lot of people are throwing medication at people that don't really need it too.
100%.
Yeah.
When I first went through this with my doctor, first thing she did was throw like 4 different prescriptions to me, and all 4 of them made me worse.
Yeah.
She was like, okay, this is for sleeping, and this is for dealing with this and dealing with that, And I was like, okay, one, it wasn't helping me sleep. I was waking up at like 1 o'clock in the morning on the dot every single day and could not fall back asleep.
Then you get
Yep.
panicked
Then I
from
get
that.
panicked from it, and it was making me worse. So I think that's a problem too, is people are just they're not even listening to what people are going through or doing their due diligence on the medical side. They're just throwing shit at them that might work because like, oh, this person has similar symptoms, so let's just throw this shit at them and see if it sticks.
100%.
Everybody's different.
Well, and then to go in that similar vein, what do you think about the celebrities and the athletes that are coming out and talking about the psychedelics for treatment?
I haven't done enough research, but I would say there's nothing to dismiss or anything there. Absolutely, that's something that should be looked at, and it might work for some people, and it really might not. And you just kind of got to know who you are and what. Like, listen, if it's acid or mushrooms, do you want to be anxious and tripping and having a bad trip for 9 hours? Because it's going to be a 9-hour trip.
And you might not ever recover. There's people that never recover from it, and they end up in mental hospitals and shit.
It's like
I'm
you just
wondering
said.
how that's even working for people, because there's so like Aaron Rodgers, the football player, just
ayahuasca.
He had this magnificent trip and cleared all these years of anxiety and depression for him, and then all of a sudden he had a clear path. I just don't understand how that.
The thing with that too is people, I think, watch while you do it and they're completely sober to make sure. Because I've heard stories where someone does it and someone watches them, and the next thing you know, this person's in the ER when they wake up and come out of it. They're like, dude, you had a bad trip. You were doing this. You tried to kill this person and stuff like that. Like, I don't want that either. Because now, guess what? Now my depression and anxiety is this much higher because I'm like, I just almost killed somebody and I didn't know it.
Right.
That is a scary thing. So
my take on that part is, look, it's like you said originally, we have doctors misdiagnosing shit and handing out pills to see if this will work or that'll work. I don't know that I can take the word of an athlete or a fucking actor and be like, look, you had this beautiful experience where you took ayahuasca or fucking acid or whatever, and oh my God, it fucking magically cured you. That's great. That's probably not going to happen for 99% of the fucking people. Secondly, they don't have the resources or the, so while you may go to a clinic or a retreat somewhere that costs fucking 20 grand a day,
Yeah.
and it may be really beautiful and cleansing for you, that's awesome. Most people that follow your advice are going to buy some shit off the street, eat it, and then sit there with their other stoner friends and just, stare at the wall for 8 hours. Now, at the fucking best, maybe that'll help you for a little bit, maybe a week or two. At the worst, you're gonna fuck something else up because you don't understand your own fucking neurons firing or anything else either, and you don't know how you're gonna react to something like that. Like, I don't think it's a responsible thing for an athlete or an actor or somebody famous to come out with any type of medical information whatsoever and treat it like it's a cure-all for anything, because doctors don't understand the human brain to the extent where they should feel comfortable doing everything, but at least they're trying to do things at this point.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want some fucking football player telling me like, you have cancer. If you just, drink some fucking dishwasher fluid, it'll be fine. I don't want that, and nobody needs that. That's the extent of how I see it. It's silly and it's a stupid comparison, obviously, but in the same sense, it's probably fucking safer for me to drink a little bit of dishwasher fluid than take fucking mental health advice from somebody who throws a fucking football around all the time. I don't think that there's anything to say that that's not a valid fucking job and good for you, but stop trying to impress whatever the hell happened in your life, which is so far removed from the majority of people dealing with these issues, and trying to say it's going to be the cure all for what's going on in my life, because it's not the same.
It's definitely not the same. And I would say also that I've always felt, for me, and maybe it's different for other people, but I've always felt that you should be in a good state of mind to want to do a psychedelic drug, because you are going to freak out even if you're stable. I mean, maybe not freak out, but freak out in some way. You're going to see things. You're going to have, and it, like I said, I've done mushrooms before. I'd never did anything after that, and I always kind of wanted to, but I started with mushrooms like a lot of people do, and then after that I was like, I'm good. I don't want to do acid now, or LSD or whatever. I don't want to do any of those things. I don't want to do any of the drugs that they give on like the Indian reserve. None of that. I'm good, because I did have kind of a stable mentality at the time I did that, and I still didn't have a great trip. So I knew it wasn't going to be for me. Yeah. So that's my advice. If you feel like you're not stable mentally, maybe it's not for you.
Maybe don't do something that alters the way your mind works for the next 8 to 9 hours.
For sure. Yeah. Do you, either of you, question or did you, or do you still question, like, why is this person with me? Why does this person love me? Do they truly love me, and why? And because I'm so fucked up and all that. Do you guys deal with anything like that?
I'll be honest with you, not really. Any other relationship I've ever been in, 100 fucking percent. But I think the funny part is I was also questioning why the hell I was with them, because there were things in those, like, obviously, unless it's the relationship you're in right now, every relationship you've ever had has ended in failure, or there's a reason you're not with that person. So, everybody I've ever been with, there was horrible shit they'd do. They'd exacerbate problems, and I'd think that to myself too, like, why the hell am I even with this person? And who knows, codependency, issues that you have otherwise keep you in that fucking position. But with Elisha, I've never felt that. And it's like one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever had in my life. And it's something I never really thought I would ever have. And I know that doesn't help anybody else out there, because not everybody's going to find that.
No, it's a rare thing.
It's a super rare thing.
We try to make that known if we ever have this conversation with people, is that you're not always going to find your person. And that's not a bad or good thing. It's just a thing.
It's just reality.
It's just, and it's all pure luck. So it really is. It has nothing to do with anybody doing anything wrong. It's just Chas and I, for some reason, we've always felt that our energies just were perfect together. And there's something beyond, and maybe not beyond science, but something beyond whatever we can ever explain, that's the reason we're together. It just, we gravitate towards each other. And and that's always been
I've
our
always
thing.
said our crazy fits together.
Yeah.
And it sounds like something funny, but it doesn't mean like everything's peaches and it's wonderful. Like we just had 2 days ago, because I've been going through some shit myself and I've been at a low, where we just had like one of those fucking conversations where you go to bed and you're like, this sucks, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that it doesn't happen, but you keep trying and you get through those fucking points, and then you get to the point where you start fixing it after that.
Yeah,
You come up with solutions.
That's none of this is to say that we don't have fights
Those
or
days, yeah.
bickering or I've always said that love and marriage are not difficult, because people will say marriage is hard, and I think marriage isn't hard for us. It's not marriage that's hard. It's not love that's hard. It's living together sometimes that can be
Yeah.
hard. And that, I think, goes for any relationship. I mean,
Yeah,
because you're always going to be different. For me, I'm very, very independent and a little bit of a control freak. And uh he's definitely different in like, oh, I gotta buy everything, and I gotta have all these, like, I mean, look, the room that we're in is filled with collectibles and all
Really?
that.
I don't see anything back there.
Like, I'm trying right now.
I could turn this camera. There's pop dolls on the other side over here. The Always Sunny cast. I got drummer pops and Rush and all this. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we are. I'm a minimalist. If our house was completely bare, I'd be fine with it. He's a completist. How many Beatles CDs do you have?
All of them.
All of them. Because if well, but this one was just remastered. I'm like, but you already have it.
No,
but it's
right.
not mastered.
But the other one does have 6, 13, 22, and 19 on it. This one does.
Exactly. The demo version of this one from 20 years ago.
I want to know how this was written, not just how we got there.
To me, if I can listen to it on Spotify, I don't need a physical copy of it.
Same. And I'm also, minimalist is the perfect way to describe me. I'm also that way. And I am also very frugal too. I just started paying for Spotify a month ago, and it was just because we were on the road, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do the free trial. and I had Spotify, the free Spotify, for like not 10 years,
but a while. Yeah, she's had it a while.
And I was like, well, it's fine, it's free. I grew up with commercials, we all did, right? So I can deal with just the commercials aren't even that long. I'm fine. And I used to listen to I have YouTube that I don't pay for. I'm like, you can find all your music on YouTube. Just do that. But Chaz is a little different. He wants the whole thing. He wants all of it. And so we'll clash there. It's not even a big deal most of the time, but it's like at the point where I say, he'll tell me, oh, well, we've got this new figure coming out. It's a creep show figure. And I'm like, but you already have that. You have that one. No, but this one has blood splatter on it. So it's the same exact thing.
Dude, so it kind of goes along with the OCD thing. So they're at this point, I honestly don't buy nearly as much as I used to. I used to be the guy that was out like every fucking week. I knew when shit was hitting, and I would buy everything. It didn't matter if I was like eating popcorn for the next week, as long as I had all 60 of the fucking figures that came out or something. I don't do that anymore. But when we first got together, she'd be like, why are you buying that? You don't even like that fucking character. And I was like, I don't like this character. And if it was just a standalone character, I would not buy it. But it's part of this set. And I like the other 5 characters in the set. So I have to buy all 6, dude. And that was like, it built up. I mean, right now you can barely move in this room. This is nothing. Like, I sold my whole collection pretty much when my son was born, just because I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. This is like probably about 3/4 of what I used to have, and it just keeps growing and growing. So I've slowed down a lot to this point, but it is that OCD. It's that I gotta fucking have it, and even I have to admit, like, even the shit that I love in this room, as soon as I put it on the shelf, it kind of disappears into the camouflage of everything else in this room, dude. And I don't think about it ever again. But if it's not on that shelf, man, I'll sit there and I'll think about it. And it'll be like a month, and I'm like, I still haven't gotten that fucking figure, and I gotta go to Target, and I gotta fucking go online. And if I can't find it there, I'm going to eBay, and then I'm going to these trading groups and it's like that obsessive fucking thing. And as soon as it comes in, I put it on the shelf, and I don't think about it ever again.
Yeah,
it's
that's
stupid.
part of his OCD. That's actually entertaining, even though it probably worsens my anxiety. It's fine. I think it's cute. It's endearing. I love his passion for it, but yeah, it does. We definitely clash.
I
over it.
know that it's taken over portions of my life where I'm just like, this is not healthy. And you can just clearly think that in your own brain, and you'd be like, I don't need this. I'm never gonna look at it. It's gonna be buried between 50 other boxes. And then that's a real valid point for about 30 seconds. Then your brain's like, but you should get it, man, because you like it and you know you want it. And then I go and fucking buy it. And as soon as I hit that button on the phone, I'm like, all right, pay for it. All right, it's paid for. And then I think, like, you fucking moron. That was like $100 you could have done something else with, but you didn't do it. So in my old age now, I'm weaning myself off that behavior a little bit more. But for a long time, it was one of those things where before we were together or things like that, it was you need that dopamine hit, especially as somebody who has depression or something like that. When we first got together, she'd be like, why did you buy that, dude? Like, we're broke. And I'd be like, we are fucking broke, and we're still going to be broke if I didn't buy that. But at least I'm happy for 5 fucking minutes, dude. Like, you think that's going into savings? Like, that's for our future? That was $25, dude. It's not really going to kill me if I spend $25 on something that makes me happy for 5 minutes, or leave it there and eat an extra burger next time we go to fucking eat because we can't afford to go to a real fucking place or get groceries. So it's a different mindset 100%. She's the person that was like, no, we're broke. Save that last $10. And we used to have an argument. Like, I used to be addicted to fucking Red Bulls. Like, every day I would go buy a Red Bull and a candy bar. No wonder I have diabetes, right?
Yeah, that was the argument.
But she would be like, dude, we're broke. You can't do that before work every day. And I was like, listen to me. If I have to go listen to these fucking people that killed their fucking kids or something for 8 hours, I'm going to get a candy bar and a fucking Red Bull, and I'm going to just deal with the fact that we don't have any money, because I need something positive to happen to me today so I can go deal with all the negative shit that is going to be coming at me. And it's just a different mindset. You can't explain to one person why that's a good idea, and you can't explain to the other person why it's a bad idea, because they're not going to listen.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. I mean, I play drums. I play the most expensive instrument there is, and I always need a new cymbal, a new splash, a new china, or new snare, or sticks, drum heads, all that. So I get it, but like I said earlier, if I didn't have my music though, I would go insane, absolutely insane. So
that's why I started painting, man.
To look back on it, I guess when we were first together, every Friday, or every pay Friday, we would hit the music store in San Luis Obispo, and you would buy stuff, CDs and stuff.
Or the drum shop and buy drum stuff and all that. Yeah, for sure.
That's 100% why I started painting. Like, I stopped playing music, and it was one of those things that was a part of my life since I was like 16 until I was in my fucking 30s. And it was a constant. You have a band, you're with these guys, you deal with promoters, you deal with the music, you deal with recording, and that takes up. I don't think people that aren't musicians realize how much of your life that encompasses. Like, everything you do has to do with ticket sales or album sales or fucking trying to put out the next thing or trying to figure out the artwork, and it's a huge chunk. And when I finally got to the point where I was like, I can't do this shit anymore, I've got like a 2-year-old, I'm out, I'm done. And I took about 1.5 years where I didn't do anything, and it was awful.
Yeah, he has to have that outlet.
Yeah, were you a little more? Did you feel a little more destructive when you weren't doing that?
I felt, probably a little bit. Like,
you weren't creating. If you're not creating, you're destroying, right?
Absolutely, for sure. And it got to a point where it was like I didn't necessarily want to go back to that lifestyle where everything is about that, because, to be honest with you, once I got married, it's that old school, like, well, you don't get married, but I'd rather be fucking married at this point in my life. When I was 20, you're right, I probably would have ditched whatever to go on tour and eat half a cheeseburger for a week for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't want that anymore. I'm old, my back hurts. I'm fucking sick of it. You know what I mean? The shitty backstabbing behavior, the shit that can feed into that thing if you have a depressive personality. Like, if you're the kind of person that has those types of issues, I don't go into music or anything like that, because you're going to meet some of the shittiest people that are going to try and take advantage of everything they can from you. And it's like a constant, like, war with this vibe and this attitude. So it's not something good that feeds into it. Yeah, you get good shit out of it, but there's a lot of negatives.
It's
But
hard to
yeah,
deal with.
so I finally just said I can't do it. I'm gonna stay home with Charlie, my son, and my wife, and I'm gonna mostly do that. And then about a year later, it was so bad, and all you really had to look forward to at that point is like those little weekends that you get. Like we would go to Texas for Frightmare or something, or we'd go somewhere else, and that was our vacation. Which, don't get me wrong, I love horror movies and I love all that stuff, but going to a fucking convention center in another state isn't really a vacation. You don't see anything from that state. You're seeing the
Yeah.
same groups of people that you see everywhere, and you're just living in a hotel ballroom for a weekend. That's not something. And we looked around and I saw, people painting and drawing shit, and about 50% of them I was like, I bet I could do better than this. And that's an egotistical thing to say, but I fucking put my nose to it, and I really tried to teach myself how to paint, and hopefully I don't know that it's better now, but I hope that it's on par, and I have something unique to offer to everybody. But if I didn't have that, I think my brain would fucking implode, because you
Yeah.
just have to be doing
He
something.
has to. I know a lot of people are different, but I know with Chaz, he has to do something creative. It has, or else he'll go crazy. And he also has to, and he doesn't know this, but I do. There's certain things that he doesn't realize that I do, but he has like his games that he does game night and stuff with his friends. He has to have human interaction, even though you'll hear from Chaz that he hates everybody and that it
I
doesn't he means it, he does, he hates everybody, but not to
I
like a terrible extent, but he does need to be around other people and do like things like game night or stuff like that. So no matter what happens, I try to keep that going for him, because even though he will say all day that Charlie and I are enough for him, and we know that we are, but he needs other people too.
I
Like
I
it's
think
it's some
Like-minded though, like-minded people, like
yes,
just have fun and relax. I
yeah.
don't need to be arguing
yes,
with people either, yeah.
I
yeah.
I think for me, like it's that duality of those two mindsets. As I kind of go through life, yes, I would be totally content a lot of times to just stay at home and not speak to anybody else in the world, and it would be great. The other side of that is, as an artist or as a performer, or somebody who is creative, I do everything for myself, obviously. I write music for myself. I paint for myself. I'm proud of what I do, and I really appreciate that. But as that other side, that performer side, you want the applause. You want oh my God, I love what you just did. And it's not that it's not complete without that, but there's something inside me that needs that fucking outside validation, no matter how much I tell myself I don't need that outside validation for anything I do. And I just don't think there's a way to reconcile that away with who I am as a person.
Yeah, well, when you're creative, you like to hear someone say, "Hey, I really like that." Like I had a
Yeah.
coworker when my album first got released on Spotify and all that, say, "Hey, man, I really like the Interstate 666 song." He's like, "That one was so cool. I like all the rest of them, but that one really stuck out to me." I was like, "Right on, man. Thank you for listening to it." Like
Yeah.
means
It
the world. So
it doesn't necessarily validate what you did, because being able
yeah,
to
yeah,
create that validates what you did. But like, there's something as a creative person when you hear somebody appreciate something you
yeah.
did, or it affected them or did something for you. I remember when I first started playing, I got a fucking email like 2 years after we put some song out, and we were still really small at the time. We were doing like little, seriously, like 15 fucking people in the club type shows at that point. And we got some email from some kid in Louisiana, and his dad or something had picked up one of our CDs at an Aussie show that we were handing him out to, and he took it across the country, and this kid found it in his dad's drawer, and he pulled it out. And by the way, this song that he loves is like the cheesiest, dumbest fucking song I've ever written. But for him, it touched something in him, man. Like, I still talk to that dude to this day. It's been probably 15, 20 years since then. He still like appreciates the music that we made 15, 20 years ago. And like, it's that one thing. Like, maybe it's a dumb song, maybe it doesn't really mean anything, but for some reason that touched that kid enough that he reached out to me, and there was that human interaction, and it
Yeah.
did something to him. um, that's what you look for with anything. It's not about getting rich or doing anything. It's like, holy shit, as much as I'd like to live in a hole and not ever talk to anybody, like, having those little blips that happen throughout your life as a creative person is the most beautiful thing you could do.
For sure. Alicia, so how what gets your anxiety going, and what do you do to cope with it?
So I'll tell you, I'm no expert. But I've been trying lots of things. So my anxiety is usually caused by two things. And hopefully my mom doesn't listen, but my mother. She knows it. I've told her it's my mother. A little bit by her. We have a complicated, rocky relationship. And it's probably a lot of me too. So there's a lot of history there. So that's one thing. Being around certain people like that, it just kind of gets me going. Um, and it not so much as anymore, but for a while there, it was definitely, there's certain people that make it worse. And then so I try to step back from her for a little while. I just saw her last night. We had a great time. We have a good relationship, but we need to keep it at a certain level.
Yeah.
Okay.
In order for me to get past it. That's one thing. Another thing would be my job. It's high stress. I mean, it's there's a lot riding on what I do as in my position. So there's a lot of pressure and you got to be able to handle it. And I'm good under pressure physically. Like if I'm working at a say like you're an employee at, and I'm just using this as an example because this is where I worked when I was a kid, but like at McDonald's, right? You're under a lot of pressure at the moment and you need to physically do something to relieve that pressure so you can get on to the next thing. At an office job like that I do now, I feel that my anxiety actually stems from me not physically moving. Um, so I'm constantly, it's one thing after another with what I do, and I'm just sitting there at a desk, so my brain is telling me go go go, you got to go, but I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting. So physically my body's like starting to freak out and almost to have like a shaky type feeling, and
Yeah.
that's when I start to feel the panic.
Okay.
So I think exercise has helped, but it can't just be exercise before and after work. I need to get up several times during the day to, even if it's just to walk to the kitchen and get a drink when I don't even need it. Get up and do things because you've got this drive in you telling you got to get up and move because you're so stressed and you've got a lot of pressure and you've got a lot of things that you need to do. Um, my I mean, anything traumatic that happens to me a lot of times is part of it. This month actually is going to be difficult because it'll mark 3 years since my dad died. And so there's other things like, just grief and trauma that'll affect it as well. I would say uh, one thing, sorry, my cat. one thing that does help is actually my kitty.
Yeah.
And
calming.
yeah, it's calming to have, an animal of some sort. I think that's super helpful. That's always been my number one advice for people is get a pet. Yeah, I mean, it sounds almost like you're putting all of your stock into one thing, but that's the first therapy that you can probably go for. Either get a hobby or a pet. The pet is, you get both, I would say, but the pet is just something calming because you realize the simplicity of their brains and the way it works. They're there solely to be animals and just eat and shit and sleep and play, but they also have this love that comes out of nowhere, and it helps your brain understand, like, just keep it simple if you can. That's the best way to deal with it. For me at my job, I know it's stressful, but like, okay, I'm going to go down the list and just do one thing at a time. I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to do everything I can to just make it, like just a regular task list. And that's helpful. It doesn't fix it, but that's the best thing I can do for that. And as far as my mother, I had to put some distance in between us, and that was really, really, really hard to do. But it helps. So there's a self-preservation there that you have to put yourself first in a sense.
And you have to commit to it.
You have to commit. And if something starts to give you anxiety, walk away and calm down. You have to sit there. I know a lot of people meditate. I haven't gotten that down pat yet. I'm trying. It's hard. And so I'm never going to give up. I'm going to keep trying. But it is hard to meditate when you've got so much going on. You can't get your brain to stop. It's hard. So that's part of it.
Yeah,
I'll work.
on that, the counselor therapist that we had on, that hasn't aired yet when we're doing this, but will have aired by the time people hear this. She talks about meditation and how difficult it is, because I've been curious about it and I've heard a lot of people say it helps them, but she's like, okay, here's the way meditation works. She's like, you have to ease yourself into it. You have to actually practice it. Yeah. She's like, it'd be like me going behind your drums and playing them. Like, no, that's not just going to happen. I have to work towards it. I have to practice it, and then I can play it. She's like, that's how meditation is. You have to just keep working at it.
Should start with like 3 to 5 minutes a day and go from there.
Yeah. So, but as far as the, nice. And as far as the office stuff goes with you, Elisha, I just recently, like, I've always been like more of a warehouse person that just moves stuff around and switches things around and all that, more the physical thing. But now I've recently been put into a position where I'm at a desk as much as I'm doing other stuff. And so I get that my anxiety has gotten so much worse with that. Because most of the people I deal with work from home, which is bullshit.
I do too.
It makes it tougher because they seem to make things more stressful, because they're like, well, I'm not, they have that I'm not their mentality, so I'm just going to keep emailing. And to me, when I'm answering one email and another one pops into my inbox, I'm like, oh God, I got to get to that now. I have to get to that now. Now I have to hurry up and finish this one to get to that one. And then, and it's like, I finally had the realization about 2 months ago where I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to answer this email. And as I'm answering it, I'm going to minimize the screen. The other ones are popping up on until I'm done with this. And then I'll go back to that and check those. But it's just like, I already had anxiety and depression, but that was not helping the anxiety. Is I'm answering this. I'm trying to get all this figured out with someone that should be here. And if they were here, I could just go talk to them right now.
Yeah.
But they're not. So I have to do it through email. And then another 2 are popping up right now that I need to get to. And so my anxiety is just like, I feel rushed. I feel like people are on top of me doing stuff, and even though no one's there. And so I get that part of it. It sucks and it's terrible. Like, so
absolutely.
It's tough. And I think that definitely is a factor in a lot of people's anxiety. I know I work with a friend of mine who's a coworker, but also a very dear friend of mine. He's had anxiety for a long time. And I know that it's the job that it stems from. And we work in the same position. So I know for a fact that when we are dealing with the same thing, we both are going through it. And so we've actually kind of relied on each other to what we've done. And this might not work for everybody, obviously, but what we've done is we really put a lot of stock into each other, and we call each other. And sometimes we'll just work side by side because we both work from home. We'll work side by side on we use Teams at work, but it's just like Zoom. Yeah. And so we'll just kind of work and just sit there and bitch about things and get the let out. You have to let it out. I think that the biggest problem with anxiety is that people hold it in, and that's probably where, I mean, I don't think that's what causes it, but that's always what can make it worse when you're an adult. You've been told as a kid to just get over it, hold it in, stop crying, shit like that. And
don't get help for it. You'll eventually work itself out. Yeah.
People are, they look at you, or they used to look at you like you were crazy if you went to therapy, stuff like that. I mean, no, you need to let it out.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest differences between me and her too, is like, I do the same thing. I keep a lot of shit in, but when it hits that boiling point, I don't care if I don't care where I am. If you step out of line to a certain extent, and it's you don't know where that invisible marker is on the shit that I've put up with up to that point. But like, I'll just lose it on you, dude. And it's not necessarily the best way to address that. But she's like, holy shit, dude, calm down. You just said fuck in front of like 3 nuns. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about these 3 fucking, and I'll lose my shit.
I'm the same way, because I'm like one of those, like if I don't tell this person what the fuck they did wrong and how they affected me, then they're gonna keep doing it to other people. And I'm gonna be that person to tell them what the fuck they did wrong. You told me about In-N-Out yesterday, actually. It just happened yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, we went to In-N-Out. We were in the drive-through. The car ahead of us, when they got to the speaker, they just drove past it. I'm like, I've never seen anyone do that in the drive-through. Did they decide not to order? You can't back out. So you have to until the line goes all the way through. No, they got to the window to pay, and then they decided to order there.
They ordered at the window.
At the window.
So now that
Backed
pushes
up
us back.
everything.
Yep, like 10 minutes. So now our food's not going to be as fresh because they probably already made it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And then we noticed 2 different credit cards or debit cards, whatever, were being used. We're like, okay, fuck. So there's
2
different
orders.
There's different transactions. Then she pulled up to the window to get her order, and then we start seeing all these hand gestures. And then we see the lady hanging out the window going, So she's getting up to the window and she's changing everything there. And it backed up everything. And then by the time we got to the window, it took forever for us to get our food. And Justin's like,
watch where they turn, see where they go. Like, I'm going to catch up to these motherfuckers. I'm going to roll the window down and
I'm gonna
just
give her
go
a
off
what
on
for.
them.
Yeah.
Luckily for them, we never caught
We
up
never
to
found
them.
him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're going to keep doing this shit until someone like me puts them in their place.
I know it, but you know what the fucked up part of that is? Because I'm the same way,
He's-
dude.
yeah.
Like, I will chase you to your fucking house to tell you you're an idiot, dude, because you almost killed me in traffic.
Yeah.
But that's fair, because 99% of the time, nobody's told that fucking dude that, hey, man, don't be an asshole to people, because eventually somebody's not just going to go, hey, I'll just take that and go home because it doesn't. I'm going to fucking yell at you. But that 1% is going to shoot you, man. And that's the fucking awful
And that's
part.
the thing. Last Thursday, we were getting ready to go to Tombstone for the 30th anniversary thing. And Justin always likes to go to Discount Tires and have the tires checked and everything prior. So him and the kid are together, and she has a temper just as bad as any of us do. And I guess there was some guy in traffic that was being a jackass and kept cutting them off.
And slamming on his brakes and for no reason at all.
Flipping them off and everything. So I guess it got to a point. I wasn't there because I was on my way home from work. It got to a point where they got to a stoplight, and the kid jumped out of the car and started banging on his window saying, "Get out, I'll kick your ass." And he said something like, "I'll have my mom kick your ass." And it escalated. Whatever. She got back into the car, and Justin's told her,
well, we got to Discount before I told her this.
Yeah.
But in case we had the incident later, I want to just wait till it was all blown over. But yeah.
He said, "I want you to know, whatever happens, I have your back, but don't ever do that again."
Yeah.
I said, I appreciate what you did. I appreciate you getting on him and having my back. And I have yours. I'm never going to tell you this in front of this person because that's not the right thing to do, because I appreciate what you did. But I said, do not ever do that again.
Yeah.
She could have gotten run over. He could have had a gun. Yeah.
And honestly, at that point, like, if you bang on their car door and they shoot, it's like, well, I thought my life was in danger, because who knows?
Exactly.
It could be a girl, it could be anybody, but they can say that, and it's like, at the end of the day, like, while it's happening, while that shit is going on, while you cut me off or almost ran me over while me and my kid were crossing the street, chances are we're fine. And in the moment, I want to beat the shit out of you. But 10 minutes from now, it's not worth my kid seeing me get shot to do that.
Right. Or even just your kid seeing you freak out. Like that right there.
I don't want him.
Could be traumatic enough.
I know that's not the fucking most rational way to deal with problems. That's the way my brain tells me to deal with problems. You bottle it up until you explode, and then, it's going to be bad for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good thing to do. I don't want him thinking like that's the way you should deal with your problems. It's not the healthiest way to do it. So yeah, you don't want to do that in front of your kids too, because then, like, I'll see little things in him where he's like, and I'm like, why are you so pissed? And I'm like, well, he's fucking pissed because I'm pissed all the time, dude. And I don't want him to go through the same shit I am. He's hitting that age where it's like all this shit started happening to me and I started having these issues. And for the most part, he's a beautiful fucking happy kid. I don't want him being me. I want him to have a better life than me. So,
well, luckily, I think he's more like me.
Yeah.
See the anxiety. Our kid is more likely to, I would say, cry and just be sad instead of freak out and get mad and throw something. He's got more of the anxiety side of things where he feels like it's hopeless and he can't do anything about it, as opposed to an anger thing where you throw a controller at a TV.
Like my depression manifests itself in two different ways, dude. If I'm by myself or I'm just in my own head, it manifests as definite fucking sadness and just despair, and I don't know how I'm going to crawl out of this, and it just feeds into itself. But if I'm around other people, my depression manifests itself as like rage.
Yeah.
And it's not just out of nowhere, but it's that thing where like a perceived disrespect or something like that could be nothing. It could be nothing. It could just be the way this person talks, but they did it the wrong way, and it just sparks something in my brain where it's like I have to fight everybody, and it's not a good mindset to have, but that's what it constantly feels like. If I'm around people, it's a struggle not to find some sort of disrespect or something, or like shittiness. And the unfortunate part is at this point in history, it's almost like a fucking sport for people to be disrespectful or be an asshole for no reason, because you don't get called out on shit. Most of these people were raised on the fucking internet where you could say the shittiest thing you could possibly say.
And there's no repercussion for it.
We've gotten so used to it that shit happens in real life, and there's still for the most part, no repercussions because nobody wants to be in that
calls
position.
Them out. Yeah. Because people don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
I do.
Exactly.
And I'll make you feel like shit for it about the next week as well. So
yeah. But it does it solve anything for you? No, it doesn't solve anything for me either. That guy's still going to be a fucking asshole to the next person.
But at least I don't have to go back and go,
yeah,
I should have said something to him. I did.
Exactly.
So I can live with that a lot better than not saying something. So
for sure. I think probably for me, it's not that I wouldn't say anything, because I'd probably say something anyways. I have no problem with that. It's I should fucking start at level 2 and I go to atomic immediately.
That's the problem, yeah.
It's not a build up. It's not like I know there's been times where somebody's done something and I start out at a calm level. And by the end of the sentence, I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's loud and it's angry. It's like that fucking fire starts out like a little lighter. And by the end of the sentence, it's like a fucking atomic bomb, man.
Yeah.
And
people don't know what hit them.
They don't know what to do with that.
People.
Yes. Who would know what to do with that? In the span of 10 seconds,
solar company, fuck you.
Like, why are you so angry? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't be over what you just said to me. I shouldn't be this angry, but I can't help it. That's what I am. So that's something I work at, and with my depression and everything else. Like I said, a lot of people look at depression and they think like, oh, it's this or it's that, but it doesn't look like that for everybody. It doesn't manifest the same for everybody. It doesn't have the same symptoms for everybody. Like, that's the hardest part. It's like when people would talk about, things like cancer. It's like, why can't we cure cancer? Because there's 50 million different types of fucking cancer, man. That's why. It's not a magic pill you're going to take that's going to take cancer down. Like, there's teams and teams of doctors working on each individual type, and hopefully one day we can come up with it. But it's the same thing with depression. Like, depression is one fucking thing that has a million tendrils that come out, and it hits each person in a different way, and they fucking feel it a different way, they manifest it a different way, they deal with it a different way. And we all have these huge discrepancies in like the way we were raised, the area we were raised, the economic, the socioeconomic, everything about our lives is so far removed from the average person you meet on the street that there's no one attack for it. It's not like, this is a disease and here's the cause of it, and we're going to try and attack it like this. Depression fucking has a million different ways it can come on and it can come out, and it's impossible to pinhole that into this little box where you like, all right, this is the pill, man. This is the one that's going to make you feel better. It doesn't work that way for everybody. And that's what makes it so hard going forward to try and find a course of action or a way to treat this thing, because everybody is going to take the treatment differently. Everybody is going to need something different. It's like the autism spectrum, like I was talking about before. Not everybody is on the same point on that autism spectrum. So not everything that works here is going to work here. It's hard to fucking pinpoint how you're going to help each individual person. And you're never going to be able to help everybody, but I don't think we're doing nearly enough in this country
No, we're
to help
not.
anybody.
No, because they don't care. Nobody cares.
And there's no money in it. I mean, you can say pharmaceuticals, yeah, of course they make money, but there's no money. We could shit out pills all day. We're making that fucking money. There's no real money in really trying to nail down exactly how to help each individual person, or even a small group of people. We don't pay our people anything. There's no incentive to go into this fucking field, unless you want to be that guy that just pops out those pill prescriptions for people and goes on with their life making $150 an hour.
They have incentives. They have incentives to sell pills from new companies all the time.
Right.
And that's a shitty thing. That's a greed type of thing that it shouldn't be in. It doesn't have a place in the mental health industry. And it's there. And it's sad that that's the way that it is, like that's probably, or maybe one of the reasons that I was misdiagnosed and so many other people are, because I'll tell you what, when I was 15 years old, 14 years old, I went into a psychiatrist, because my mom wanted me to go, and she thought I had ADHD. And I won't go into a lot of specifics on a lot of things that went down during this time, but she thought I had ADHD like she does. I went and I saw someone and I filled out a survey that immediately diagnosed me with ADHD.
Of course.
And that's
it's
it.
worded a specific way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, and like I said, it's not okay that that's the case. Like, who knows what he was trying to push, like what that doctor was trying to push drug wise.
Yeah.
It's slanted to the point where, like, yeah, I want to get my kid on something, so I'm gonna have him take this survey and go in. They're gonna charge me a couple $100s, and then we'll get them on Ritalin or Adderall or whatever it is that I want my kid to be on, so maybe they can focus better or they can do this better. And it's something that fucking turns into a lifelong, I don't want to say dependency, because like a lot of these things you can get off if you want to, but like it's so much easier as a human being, dude. Like I know we all love to think like, well, just stop, dude. If you don't want to do it, just stop. Fucking human beings aren't built that way. We get used to something and we want to keep doing it, man.
And some of them can kill you if you just stop too.
Absolutely.
Which is a scary thing as well. There's some out there that's like, okay, you need to cut it in half for a month, and then you can come off of it. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's the scary thing.
Yeah, and also to your point about ADHD in school and focusing more, is maybe just have more fun in class. Maybe you learn about more fun shit, because I've learned more after graduating high school and gotten into more things than I did whenever I was in there, because it was more entertaining. I was wanting to learn things I wanted to learn. Maybe go to the individual kid, have a little meeting with each kid in your class and say, hey, what are you into? What do you want to learn about? And then teach the individual what they want to learn about. Like, is that what Japan's essentially doing with their school system, so they can build them up for an education or for a career after fact? Is each kid, what are you? You're into music. Okay, let's focus on music. Oh, you're into history. Let's focus on history and dinosaurs and all that and all that. Like,
find a way to make those core principles interesting to the child, anyways. But on the other side of that, the flip side of that is, unfortunately, a lot of people shit kids out and expect the school system to do everything. And the biggest thing when our kids started going to school, like, we've been reading to him since he was a kid, honestly. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's a thing. We've tried to make that a part of his life. You want to read. And he's 13 now, so he wants to be on his fucking he wants to be on his video games more, but he still does stuff. And I mean, he's in the top percentile in his fucking school, but I don't think that's just because he's a smart kid. He is a smart kid, but if I know he's stumbled many times over the course of his academic life. And if we weren't there to spend the hours with him, to maybe take him places and explain fucking things to him, when we watch a movie and we'll see, something come up, a joke or a point that they make, and it's just a side point, but we stop the movie and we're like, do you know what that means? Here's what it means.
Yep.
You have to be present in your child's life. And this country in general for the last 30 years has been shitting kids out and expecting the school system to take care of this, the something else. And now you see these stupid clips on like Facebook or something else where you have grown ass adults being asked questions like, how many continents are there, or who's the first female vice president, and they don't know, and that shit's happening now.
Yeah.
Like that's in the fucking news now, man. How do you not know this? But that's the product of people like having their kids and just, well, it's not my problem, man. Especially after they're 18, they're gone, and it's not my worry. Okay, so now we have a fucking army of dumb shit people. These people vote. They fucking put into our society. They or don't put into our society, and it's real easy to sit back and go like, well, it's because they're stupid and blah blah blah. Well, they're fucking stupid because we didn't do anything for them, and most of them are suffering from fucking other things possibly, or self-medicating, and then you put them in jail. It's just this giant cycle of greed and shittiness that honestly, if you have a fucking brain that works, you look at that and you look at the way we deal with society and the way we deal with like social media, the way we live our lives now, the way we're glued to our fucking phones, and it all sounds like this fucking like it sounds like a meme because it's so obvious, and everybody fucking thinks they're like a fucking genius for bringing it up, but it's true. We have no compassion for other people. We fucking live and exist to make sure that the top 1% can suck as much out of us as possible. And the unfortunate part is like we have not reached the break point where the people are just like, I'm fucking done. I can't do this anymore. I cannot like look, I don't have any fucking love for billionaires, but seeing a million fucking memes about celebrating 5 people fucking dying last week is the epitome of what I'm talking about, dude. Like, I'm not saying those people were great fucking people. I'm saying 5 fucking families lost 5 fucking people because of something stupid, and the most we can do collectively as a society is get together and make fucking memes about it and laugh about it. I'm not saying I have a fucking bad sense of humor. I'm not offended by it. I didn't go cry myself to sleep seeing this shit. But after about 5 fucking seconds, you can't just go like, okay, I get it, dude. You're fucking edgy. That's all we fucking are now, dude. I'm sorry, I'm getting angry.
No, you're good. And to your point, and we don't get political on this. You guys know that, but my job 2 years ago, someone had said it was when the election was going on, like, if Trump doesn't win this time, can he run again in 2024? And I'm like, you should not be fucking allowed to vote.
Exactly.
If you know that answer, you should not be allowed to vote.
That's exactly right.
The answer is yes, he can. He cannot serve more than 8 years, but he can fucking run again. Oh my god! And you're gonna fucking vote in the next election? No. Right now, I should, as a fucking American, I should be able to say, I should be able to call someone and say right now, hey, this person, this is their name, this is they should not be allowed to vote for 10 years. Right now,
yeah,
they don't even know the fucking rules.
I always said you should be able to fucking you should have to take a fucking 1-page test, even multiple choice. But if you fail that, and I'm talking not cited whatsoever, just how the process works, like how voting goes through. If you don't understand the process, you're not allowed to fucking vote, man. And look, maybe that would prevent some people from voting and blah blah blah, right? It would at least ensure that the people that are voting at least understand the system enough that they could answer basic 3rd fucking grade questions about this. Yep. I don't care who you vote for, dude.
Yep. But
I just want you to understand.
Know what you're doing. Yeah.
Know what you're doing. Make an informed decision. If you can do that,
it's called an educated guess for a reason. Yeah. There's some education behind it.
Unfortunately, I think the 20-somethings these days, they'll vote on what's popular rather than looking at a big picture in the future. And that's sad.
Yeah. I think that's even the 30s and 40s and 50 somethings, I think we've gotten to a point in our society where we've cut funding in education for so long that nobody can fucking think 2 or 3 steps ahead. Nobody takes into account any of the factors that go into any of the things that happen. So on a surface level, you can look at a problem and go like, well, obviously just do this. But you can't do that because it affects in a ripple all through society why these things are happening. And I think if you don't understand those things, you have no place fucking having an opinion on them.
Just observationally, because I don't have a child, let's say, per se on my own, like my own child. I have an adopted child essentially. But from what I'm seeing from the outside is that a lot of parents are being influenced by what their children tell them more than when we were growing up also.
Oh yeah.
So if a kid goes, oh well, my friends in school said that this person's a good candidate and we should vote for them, the parents listen to that. Instead of when I was growing up, my parents were educating me on, hey, listen, this person feels this way, this person feels that way. This is why I'm going to vote for this person, but I want you to be educated on both sides too. If something more you agree with this, I think it's just the other way around. That the parents are more being influenced by children. That's not the way that should go either.
No,
It's not.
absolutely not. That's crazy.
And especially since now at this point in history, we're inundated with so much information and none of it is cross-referenced. None of it. I mean, you can get information from some of these sites that kids are on and where they're hearing stuff. I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
But I don't know a single teenager that hears something outlandish and actually researches on different fucking peer-reviewed sites to get the whole story.
Exactly.
Nobody does that. Adults don't do that. They find, we went from this is the fucking news, this is what happened, to this is the right news, this is the left news. And nobody goes to the other side. They just go to their side because it reinforces what they want to hear.
Exactly.
You need to look at both, I think. I've always thought that.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard because a lot of news sites swing one way or the other. It's really hard to find one in the middle. I mean, there's just a couple, and even those I feel still have like a bias. Yeah. So it's all about, I mean, I always like to present it to my kid like this, okay, this person, like you said, this person wants this person wants this. What do you think is morally right? What do you think is the right decision?
Exactly.
Even if this person wants this, how are they going to arrive at this? Is it feasible? Can we do it? Do they have is it a long shot? Things like that. And maybe if it's a long shot, but it's worth it. And I won't go into specifics. There's definitely some that I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Maybe we should take some things away or give some things to people. Maybe it's a long shot, but maybe we need to try as a society to do those things.
And I think, obviously we got kind of a little off track, but I think it all centers back
wait, with you guys, we're getting off track.
I know we are fucking loud, and
that's why we love having you guys on, because we just don't know where it's going to go. And we'll get back on track. Don't worry, we're good.
I think it all comes back. The reason I brought up social media and things like that is I think while we're still fucking trying to expand our knowledge on mental illness and the way it affects people, we have allowed social media, the way we take in information and everything else, in a very short time, we went from we read the newspaper or watch the news at 7 to we are inundated nonstop 24/7. You get updates on your phone. You get, anytime you open anything, you get somebody's opinion on something. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying we don't have the research at the time when we started doing this to tell us whether this is a good thing or not. And I think we found over time that the algorithms these companies use, the way they approach things, the way they fucking target audiences with that fucking hit that they're looking for, that they can sink their teeth into you and make sure that you're going to follow. You're going to click on the next article because this article fucking piqued your interest. We've done horrifying damage to ourselves as a society, and it's given people there's no moral ground that's inherent at this point in the younger generations, especially because they've learned those habits and the ways they use things through these interactions that aren't real in any sense at this point. They're targeted to make you feel a certain way, and they do their job really fucking well. And I think over the course of the next 20 or 30 years, we're going to see a lot of that damage that's coming back in really horrifying ways. And I can't for the life of me tell you what those are going to be, but I can tell you, just being as lucky as I am to be part of the generation that had the before this and the after this, that something awful is going to fucking come from us treating our people like little fucking batteries that we have to keep recharging with the dumb shit that we want to put in their heads, dude. It's
go ahead.
No, I think that I'm good.
COVID, for an example, when they first started putting that out in the media, if you get it, you're going to die. And so everybody was in a paranoid panic.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't good.
No,
it wasn't.
So How are you guys with silence? With quiet?
I love it.
You love it?
I do too.
Yeah.
I can do both.
I think so. This is super cheesy, but I love one of my favorite movies of all time from when I was a kid is Pulp Fiction, right? So I love the scene where she says, "I love that you found someone when you can just shut the fuck up for a minute, when you can have an uncomfortable silence." I love that. Silence is great. I mean, if that's what you mean, like silence as in silence.
Like Justin can't stand silence.
I have to have music on or something all the time.
No, I love it. I'm an only child though, but so I think that might help a little.
Okay,
but,
yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the oldest, but not the only. So yeah.
I have a lot of times where I need to have noise or something else, but for me, like it depends on the fucking noise. Like
Mhm.
if I have the TV on and then my kids talking my ear off and then my phone is dinging and then somebody's calling me from the other room, I will fucking snap.
That's
You know what I
that's
mean?
enough to make
It
anyone
has to,
snap.
but I could listen to like a piece of classical music with 75 instruments in it. It's all got to be in harmony, or it's got to be in one way. You know what I mean? Like if it's just random noise, I'll lose my fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like with me, like so when we're done with this and I'm editing things out and I'm getting the episode ready and stuff, I will have music going as I'm doing it because I just can't be sitting here with my thoughts or I will lose my focus.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I run. But like I can never like
that.
Yeah, I can't just sit on the couch like after I get home from work and it's just quiet. I just can't do that. Like
Oh, I love it. That's my way of
Sometimes-
decompressing.
Sometimes on my drive home, I drive about 40 minutes a day, back and forth, 40 minutes each way. And
Yeah.
there's just some days on the way home, I won't play music or listen to podcasts or books and just drive in silence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
be
have
with
no
your
issues
thoughts.
with it.
good for
Yeah.
you. I can't do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car, I can't do it either, man. I have to have something on. I can't turn the radio. Like if it's just, I used to have a car that didn't have a CD player or anything, and it would be the radio. And I don't know how it is in fucking Phoenix, but there's like 2 stations in Tucson.
Pretty much. Yeah,
that
same
don't
here.
play pop music.
Yeah, that we can listen to. There's 2 is KUPD and KSLX. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't listen to anything in Tucson. So it's either like it's either alternative shit like I'm hearing like Blink 182 or something, and I can't, or it's like the classic rock station, which you'd think like would be fine, but it's like the same
It's the
3
same
Pink Floyd songs, the same 3 Led Zepp, and I can't fucking do it. So at that point in my life, I would literally fucking sit in silence. I'd be pissed the whole time.
Mhm.
But like other than that, I have to have some sort of music on there. I don't care what it is. I'll put something on, even like especially when we're like driving or something like that, obviously, because you don't.
Pearl Jam. Yeah.
The Pearl Jam.
I tried to sleep through that, man, but it was
Just the annoyance kept
just
waking
the
up.
annoyance was waking me up.
Like I'm okay with being ashamed. I know it's
If either of you get to a point of just shutting down, how do you deal with it?
we rely on each other a lot, and that's probably not the best answer, but
It's not going to help anybody.
it doesn't help anybody. But I think we do rely on each other a lot. But if it comes down to it still comes down to your individualism and what you decide to do as a person. You need to get up and make a change in some way. It doesn't even if it's simple, like as far as
setting small goals.
setting small goals, getting, even if it's just chores around the house, something to get your mind going. And that's going to open it up for other things that you can do. Maybe you're just doing the dishes or cleaning the kitchen, but you realize you never fixed something around the house, and that's going to be your next thing. There could be a ton of things, but maybe I think it's better if you go a creative route. Like maybe you just start doodling. It doesn't have to be good. Just make sure that you're doing something to get your mind off of it. For me, I think this is bad, but I just watch a lot of TV and movies, and that helps.
It just depends. It's an individual thing because it's how you feed your brain and how you feed that thing. For me, a lot of times, prior to being married, when I would hit that fucking low, it would be just so bad that you just kind of implode in on yourself. Like you find a spot where you can be alone and you fucking either cry until your fucking head is pounding, or you beat the shit out of something, or you have to take all that energy, because like no matter how healthy you are and no matter how much you're aware of your symptoms and how to fucking release that stuff, there are certain times in your life where you do keep that shit in and you don't even realize you're doing it until you fucking snap. That's been my biggest problem probably the last year, is a lot of shit that I thought I was taking care of was not being taken care of. And then it's never the big shit. Like, oh my God, something happened. It's huge. You're solid. You're on it, man. And then 2 weeks later, something happens at a McDonald's or something. Like they fucking put an extra pickle on my fucking burger, and everything comes out at once.
Mhm.
So it's finding out how to manage those things and manage those expectations of what is going to happen to you mentally when you get to that point.
Right, because you can't
For
turn
me,
to something unhealthy. You can't turn to drugs or alcohol. You
now,
have to try something else.
since we got married and we had a child and everything, and I've said this before on your podcast, I feel like once you have children, you don't have a right to do most of the shit you would have done before you had children.
Mhm.
You are alive to make sure your child's life is as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's not saying you're not still human and you're not going to have those fucking
Yeah,
days.
still take care of yourself for sure.
But you exist solely to make sure they have a better life than you did. And I had a pretty awesome life, if I have to be fucking honest about it. I wish there was something. Well, I don't. But I wish there was something to explain, like why my brain is fucked up or it doesn't fucking accept happiness or anything like that. But there's really not. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet. I've got the best family. I've got the best upbringing. I got to travel around the world because my family was, military growing up. I lived in Germany for 12 years. I had everything anybody could ask for to have the best fucking upbringing you could possibly think of. And somehow still it's like that spike in your brain that just tells you it's not good enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not doing enough. So for me, finding my way out of those places before was just waiting to explode. Finding the way out of it now, it's a lot more gradual because it takes a lot longer when you don't just have that venom spew out all at once. But it's just trying to find a way to continue on and setting those goals. And you can't just have those big goals where you're like, well, I want to live in a fucking 5,000 square foot house and do this and do that. Everybody wants that. That's a fucking pipe dream. That's probably not going to happen for most of us.
Yeah.
But getting off the fucking couch, completing that fucking thing you were working on, putting a little extra work into something else, maybe just like Alicia said, fucking vegetating and taking in, a movie or something and trying to understand it at a deeper level than an average viewer. See what the director was going for. Maybe listening to a song and getting into the lyrics and figuring out where the fucking author was when they were writing that, and seeing how to, anything like that is going to get your brain to stop thinking about that other shit. And maybe it's only a brief reprieve, but maybe that brief reprieve is what lets you get up off the couch and start that next thing.
Yeah.
Small goals, man. A lot of times it's very small goals, and that goal can be anything from writing a song to just getting the fuck up off the couch and making yourself do it.
Mhm.
Because at some point, man, if you keep moving forward, I promise you, it's not going to go away. It's not going to stop happening to you, but it's going to make you feel even a smidge better than you did just laying there doing nothing.
And also, too, it helps you go, okay, well, last time this worked, so I can do that again, and then maybe it'll work, and then do it. Like one thing I have written down on here is hobbies, because a lot of people we talk to is from terror trader vendors and stuff, and they all essentially have hobbies. They just happen to make money at their hobbies, but it's something they love to do, and it keeps them busy. And it's like that to me is a big thing, is find something you want to do and do it. It might cost you money to do it instead of make money to do it, but if it makes you happy and it keeps you occupied and it keeps you in a good state of mind, do it. Find something that works. Some people might just get a coloring book and some crayons, and that's all it takes. And
I mean, adult coloring books are a whole fucking industry now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah.
nothing
We
when
have
I
a
was a
whole
kid.
stack of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to so I've been in therapy on and off my whole life, not really my choice. My
Yeah.
mom was a little nutty, so she put us all through therapy on and off, and it makes me sound like, well, we had major problems, and we did and we didn't. We it was fine. But as far as that goes, I remember one of the therapists telling me, if you ever get to the point where if you feel like you have anxiety, you're anxious, or you feel like you have a lot of anger or whatnot, just and maybe your parents are yelling at you, or you're on the phone and you can't get it out, or something is making you build up, get something and try to color, because it actually relaxes your brain. It's a great way to actually relax. It's I guess a proven scientific method.
Yeah.
So
And I
For
think
sure.
honestly, like we were talking about technology, I think that's one of the parts that's as jarring for me today as it always has been. Is when I was growing up in the 80s, man, you could talk to anybody, their dad, their grandparents, and everybody had a hobby.
mhm.
Yep.
In the like early 2000s, when you started talking to people and they'd be like, yeah, I don't do anything. And you'd
Yeah.
be like, what do you mean you don't do anything? And they'd be like, no, I don't do anything. I just go to work and then I come home and cook dinner and then that's
On
what I do.
weekends, I do yard work. It's like, so you have nothing that makes you feel
You
good
have
about
nothing.
yourself or not. Yeah.
And that's like the norm now. People just don't do anything for themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are you doing with your time? And it's like your time is eaten up by, social media or going on and playing a stupid phone game for 3 hours a day. And it's just, I'm not saying I'm above that. I do that same shit, knowing it's probably not helping my mental health to go on Facebook and read dumb comments from news articles or see the horrible shit that people say to each other. It's definitely not. I know every time I come off social media, I feel worse than I did when I went on,
Mhm.
dude. But I still keep doing it because I mean it's that addiction. But like to only do that and never drop the phone or put that shit down and go make something beautiful. Like, look, I paint horror movie shit. I paint monsters. I paint awful fucking shit. To me, that stuff's just as beautiful as painting a fucking picture of an angel or something like that. It's the love and the attention and everything, and nobody understands that kind of passion anymore, unless you're part of that group or you're part of that subset that is into that. Nobody appreciates the culture. Nobody appreciates the love and the time and attention, and just passion is the best way. It's the same way with music. I think the fucking internet has killed that. There used to be a connection to the arts that I don't think we have anymore.
No.
Even the people that are doing this for a living and selling their shit for $4 to $5 million. Let's be honest, man. Most of this shit is just built to fucking sell commercially to rich fucking people so they can launder their money. I just it's not the same. We don't have that deep connection. Nobody does anything anymore for just the passion of it and making sure it happens. They just do it as a monetary thing or something like that. And if they don't, they're scraping by like the rest of us, man, because nobody cares about this shit anymore. And I think we've lost a huge part of our human uh interactions because we have given up on that part of our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think honestly, other than someone that might really need medication, maybe doctors and therapists should say, come up with a hobby, find something that
Yeah.
you want to do and give it a shot. And
Focus.
that could help too. But just, yeah, no one knows how to do anything anymore because all the arts in schools being taken away, music and
Yep.
the extracurricular things.
Shop,
Yeah, all that
Yeah.
stuff's being taken. So no one knows how to do things, other than
And
sports.
they don't want to. They want to go on Amazon and order it for $5 fucking, and then when it breaks, they'll replace it.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So, how are you guys with chaos? Like if things are chaotic, are you guys calm? Do you get more worked up with it?
It
It
really
depends.
depends on
Depends. Okay.
what it is. Like we're
Like let's
pretty
say like you're together with like family or friends and there's like a lot of like bickering and this and that and
arguing,
arguing going on.
yelling.
How are you with that?
um
Ugh.
with my family, we just yell at each other because that's what we do. It's love, and I mean, like one of the funniest things, and my mom's gonna kick my ass for telling this story, but like it's hilarious because my mom and dad yell at each other constantly, but they're the most adorable couple. They've been together like 50
Yeah.
fucking years. They've just been together for 50 years, dude. So
Mhm.
like to hear like when we got together and everything, it was a couple years in. And we just started making fun of my mom because, like, it's hilarious the shit she says to my dad. Like, my dad will walk in, he'll say something nonsensical, and my mom will just be like, Charlie, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you don't make any fucking sense. And he'll be like, shut up, blah, blah, blah. And they'll go, but it's like the most hilarious sitcom fucking shit you've ever seen, dude. It sounds awful. If it's her
funny.
family, I'll put it to you like this. So when we got married, we got together, and within a year we were getting married, dude. And it's not because like I got her pregnant or anything like that. That everybody thinks, oh, it's a shotgun wedding. Like we did get
Yeah,
pregnant
yeah.
really fucking early, but that wasn't the plan. But I already had the ring picked out like before she got pregnant. We were gonna get married regardless, dude. Um, and when we did, it went into that like, okay, well, the families want to be involved and everything. And I remember she was at work one day, and so I'm dealing with, okay, she's pregnant. She's still fucking working nights and everything at this call center. We had a couple scares at that point with the baby, and we had to take her in to get an extra shot or something here and there. It was stressful as hell to begin with. We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, which, by the way, we had to fucking eat outside because the gnats in this apartment were so bad you couldn't prepare food in there. So we'd have to go eat in our fucking cars. It was a lot of stress, man. Money was out of control, everything else. And her mother called me once, and it was all those things. It was the chaos of trying to plan a wedding in 3 months before she got too big to fit into her wedding dress and everything else like that, and trying to figure out how to do everything. And her mom called me and started bitching at me about invitations. And like, here's the thing: Alicia's 9 years younger than me, so when she showed up with me at like 21, I'm the dude that showed up at the house, and I get it, but I'm not. I'm maybe like 10 years younger than her mom, dude. I'm not taking shit off
11 or 12
11 or
years,
12,
yeah.
something like that.
They're
So
part of
when
the
she
same
called,
generation.
she would
That's
she would try to treat me like I was a fucking high schooler, like, because that's how she still treated Alicia. And I'm a dude, like, I was 30 years old at that point. I already had fucking my degrees and everything else started. So she calls and starts bitching, and the way I approached that is I went the fuck off on her mother, dude. I wasn't allowed in their house for like 3 weeks. And then so she gets off work at like 9, and it was like, go fuck yourself. You're not fucking invited. Don't fuck with my fucking wife while she's pregnant. If she loses this baby, I'll kill you type shit. And it was bad. So she gets off at 9, and she calls me, and she's like, hey babe. And I was like, listen, you're gonna have a message on your phone from your mother, and it's gonna be bad. So just, I did this for you. So she listens to the message, and she calls me back, and she's like, oh my God, dude, it's ridiculous. And she gets home, and her dad calls her, and she made the mistake of putting it on speakerphone while I was outside. So I hear her dad go like, well, he really spoke to your mother. And I was all, shut the fuck up, Chris. Don't even fucking start this shit. Jesus. And then it got worse. So that's how I deal with chaos sometimes.
It's good though, because I shut down a little, or I'm actually very calm, but sometimes I shut down.
Yeah.
And so I need him. Like, it kind of balances it out.
Especially back then when she was like in her 20s, she still had that, like, it's my parents. I can't talk to my parents like that type. And it's like, dude, you're an adult though, and if your parents are fucking pushing shit on you that's not good for you, you should be able to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
She told me after that was the first time anybody had ever stood up to her fucking parents like that for her. And it was like, yeah, of course, man. I think one of her ex-boyfriends had said something once, but it was like one of those like, I'll say fuck you and then I'll leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'll fight both of you, man. Come on over. Let's do this type shit.
Yeah.
And it was all for her because she was going through a lot of shit, man.
Yeah. It's tough. Dealing with chaos is different.
So chaos, I'll put it like this: dealing with chaos for us, it depends on what the stakes are and what the outcome is going to be. Mm-hmm. With her, like I said, it was for her, so I'd do anything for her. But if it's not going to be consequential to my life, I think I'm old enough at this point that I don't want the outside stress. So I'll just deal with it and fucking move along. And if it doesn't affect me to a certain point, just get rid of the chaos in general and cut out the parts that aren't necessary for my life.
Is there anything in particular?
Well, no, I'm just how you first met him and stuff.
Yeah, when we first we were living in California, and Justin said he missed his drums. And I said, well, what's stopping you from getting your drums? He said, well, I need a way to bring them from Arizona to California. I'm like, I have a truck. Let's fucking go. And we were just together for a couple months, I think.
Yeah.
And I am 11 years older than Justin. So I kind of feel like I wasn't received as well as maybe some of his other girlfriends were received. There was a lot of, oh, I can't believe you're so much older than him. And I can't believe you're just this much younger than I am. And I can't believe you have an adult child. And, but we went to a dinner. Was it for your sister's birthday?
Yeah.
And we'd already been in Arizona for a couple weeks. And I apologize if Justin's family is listening to this, but this is the way I perceived everything when we came out. We went to this restaurant. We'd already been in Arizona for a couple of days. Justin hadn't heard from his dad at all. His mom and dad were separated at the time.
Yeah, which we were pressured into going to that dinner anyway.
We didn't want to go because we wanted to go hang out with Justin's friends that he used to work with. And so we went to this dinner. His dad walks up to us and Justin said, hey, I've been here for 2 days already. I haven't heard from you. And he literally said, fuck you. You have my phone number, and walked away. And I was like, wow, okay. And so then we sat down. It was one of those Teppan grill type things. We sat down, and all of a sudden Justin gets a tap on his shoulder, and he turns around and his mom's there. And she said, some of your sister's friends are here. So
this is about an hour late.
Yeah. Your sister's friends just arrived. You're going to have to move so they can have your seats. And at that point, Justin's like, fuck it, we're out. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this. And that was the first impression I got of the family.
Well, other than the phone call from my dad a couple weeks prior to that, though.
Oh, yeah. A couple weeks prior to that, we were out shopping, and Justin got a phone call from his dad. And he's like, hey, what's up? He's like, well, I just wanted to let you know that since you were the reason we got married anyway, your mom and I are splitting up. And we thought, yeah. But we came home from Arizona. I said, I don't care if we ever fucking go back again.
Right.
Things have improved since then a little bit, but there's still a lot of issues he needs to work out with his parents.
Yeah. So I think I was 16 years old, and I was told that I was the reason they got to marry. They got married, and my parents don't get along very well. They go on vacation separate a lot. They're still together. I won't get into why and all that. Early on is because they said it's because of us. They're staying together because of the kids, and a divorce.
So obviously that's not true.
Yeah, and a divorce is so much tougher on kids than parents staying together. I'm like, no, not when they're staying together. Sometimes like this.
It's a relief,
right?
So I'm like, why don't you let us figure this out? Why don't you get a divorce and let's see how it goes, kind of a thing. But I don't want to get too much into it because they're not here to defend themselves, but I didn't have
of course
upbringing. I was the only child for 2 years before my sister was born. We were very, very, very broke, no money, nothing. And I was watching all that happen and everything else. But it was just a really, really terrible upbringing. And a lot of it's coming back with therapy of what I need to figure out. And I know I need to talk to my parents individually and stuff like that. But
he's smoking while he
okay.
What are you doing?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, and I'll be honest, that side of the house, like our AC doesn't hit, and just having a leak on my right side, even being outside, is cooler than having that body heat on my right side.
You're good. I'm just like, wait, who the hell is Satan Balls?
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm Satan Balls.
Yeah, and like so much of the dynamic in his family is hard for me to understand because I had the great upbringing. I had really great parents, and although I lost them at an early age because my mom died when I was 14, my dad died when I was 16. but still, I was fortunate enough the time that I had with them, it was so great that
Yeah.
sometimes just with his family, it's so overwhelming
Well,
to
and
me.
she got nervous last week because we stayed with her older brother and her niece. And I'm one of those that if it's nice and calm and quiet with people, I will actually create chaos because I'm more comfortable with it. So I will start an argument just for doing it.
Just for argument's sake.
Yeah. And she was really nervous that I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Everything
but
was fine.
Everything was fine. But it's like she's seen me before with some of her family, and I will actually stir the pot just because I'm like, I don't like this quiet, calm, like when's the other shoe gonna drop? You know, like to me, it's like I'd rather create it than it get thrown at me. So that's the way I'm wired.
Absolutely.
That's why I asked about the chaos thing, because sometimes when things are going really well and we're going to go do something, I will actually create an issue just because I'm like, okay, cool, now I'll be a little more calmer when we go out.
Yeah, I definitely get that. So the way you just said that right now, I've definitely done that with her fucking parents, dude. Like towards the end of her dad's life, he would come over and he like I said, we never really got along early on, but eventually we got to a point where, you know, we were fine. It wasn't like we were ever going to be best friends. We believed entirely different fucking philosophies about life, and you know, just it wasn't going to be the thing where like we're going fishing together or something. But we got along fine. That being said, whenever he would say anything like slightly political, or he would say anything just off the wall, because he was kind of bonkers as a dude, anyways. You know what I mean? He'd say weird shit. When we first got together, he came over one day and he was like, "Well, what are you guys gonna do about Christmas?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? We're gonna have fucking Christmas." And he's all, "Yeah, but you don't believe in God." And I was like, yeah, so the fuck what, dude? I believe in Christmas trees and shit and Santa Claus and my kid having a nice Christmas. So it was always like, it was never like I'd have a rational answer. It'd always be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it would be
my dad
like
was an instigator. He was he didn't believe in God either. So that's the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest question. He was just trying to start shit. That's what he was doing, because he was always critical of anyone I was ever with, and that's what he was doing there. So it's kind of always been like such an off thing for him to say, like he never cared about God. Are you serious? Like
I think for the most part it was definitely that. It was him trying to get under my skin because I was dating his daughter. I think what changed for us was really early on in our relationship. Alicia had massive stomach pains, and it ended up, you know, after months of going to doctors and doing everything, it ended up she had ovarian cysts.
Oh boy.
But when it started, we had not been together that long, and he saw kind of the amount of work I put into making sure she was taken care of. I went to numerous doctor's appointments that wouldn't help her. I fucking took her to a hospital once because it was so bad, and we sat there for maybe an hour and a half. There's nobody in this fucking waiting room. And I went and got the head doctor at this fucking emergency room, and I chewed her ass out. I got her in there. We finally got her, you know, taken care of. And it was that point he said, okay, this is not the same quality of dude that's been trying to date my daughter for the last fucking 6 to 8 years. This guy actually gives a shit, and he would do anything for her. And I think that's where our relationship went from that combative, like I wanna fight with you about everything, to like, okay, you're a decent fucking dude and you're gonna take care of my girl no matter what. And that's, I think, where we got to that point. But even then, he'd still try to find ways to fucking bait me into fucking yelling at him. And I think that was just our stuff at that point. But yeah, I would try to find ways to argue anything with him. I could not help myself. It was just one of those things.
Do either of you have trouble maintaining friendships at all?
The friends that I have now, the people that I talk to on like a weekly basis, and I'll be honest, since COVID, I think it's changed the dynamic of the way a lot of people fucking deal with each other. It used to be you'd see them all the time, especially when I was in band. I would be with these guys constantly. You know what I mean? But I think for the most part, most of my friends that I talk to on a weekly basis now are people that I've known for like 20, 25, 30 years sometimes, you know? Those are the people that have kind of, I hesitate to say the word proved themselves, but they're the people that have been through enough shit with me. I was just having this conversation actually with somebody else. it's really hard for me to take on new people unless they just click.
Mhm.
And the unfortunate part is most people don't click with my fucking personality. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen in that type of organic way anymore. We're not fucking 14 years old. We're not in high school together. We're not sharing those experiences. I think that shared experience of growing up, going through traumatic things, going through good things, even, and getting to that point is what builds that bond. I'm a huge fan of loyalty,
Yeah.
and loyalty means everything to me. And once you lose it, and I lose that respect for you, and I lose that ideal loyalty type situation with a friend, it's
That's it.
damn near impossible for me to ever get that back. I can be cool with you, we can talk, but I don't forget anything, man.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. And I'm one of those too, like if I'm really consider like someone a friend, if I get an idea, I'll just shoot a text or call or whatever. I'm like, hey, oh, no. And it's like if I don't, hear back or anything like that, I for a day or two or something like that, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they just don't like me. I get like that. I guess they don't like me anymore. And then I'll talk to them less and less and less.
Dude, I wish we fucking lived closer, because you and me are basically the same fucking person, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Everything you've said today is like shit that I deal with all the time. Like, I told you I'm in like a couple gaming groups, and some of these dudes, like I said, are guys that I've known for 25 years, and I'll post something and I won't hear shit from them, and I know they fucking saw it.
Yeah.
And it's like I take it as a personal offense. It's like, dude, even if you don't have anything to fucking say, respond. Don't be an asshole. That it means something that I said something to you, and I would respond to you. Why the fuck didn't you say anything? It pisses me off.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like if I had enough of the presence of mind to get this idea and then share it with you, obviously I'm thinking about you when I had that, thought in my head. So respond. Just like, hey, cool. That sounds awesome. That's enough for me, but don't respond.
Yeah. Even if you're like, nah, I don't think that'll work. Just let me know that you're fucking paying attention, dude. Like, I am not talking to the fucking universe. I'm talking to you.
To you, yeah, as a one single person. And if it's not something that you like or whatever, okay, is there anything off of that you can think of that might work, and we could both like go off of this idea? Throw something back at me too, because I took the time to send this to you thinking you would appreciate it. Send me something back of if you don't like it or what you don't like about it, because I thought it was a cool idea. So tell me why you didn't. So next time I will think a little bit more about it when I send it something else.
Yeah. 100%. And I know rationally in my brain, that's not how most people's brains work. And that's not going to make sense to them.
No.
But because they don't look at it like that. They're just like, it's fucking whatever, but like I said, I know it's not rational to be that guy, but I can't help it, dude. Like, that's just the way my brain operates. So in that sense, maintaining friendships, it's not that like, every relationship I have ends in me going like, well, fuck you. I'm not, but people fade the fuck away. And I think those shared experiences and the things you go through with the people that you've known the longest is kind of what binds you together for the most part. It's really hard for me to have that type of trust and loyalty and friendship with people I meet later on, because at this point I'm already so set in my fucking ways and the way that my brain interprets their relationships, that it's hard for me to bridge that gap. And I don't think it's happened with anybody new in a long fucking time. So it's and on top of that, I'm in a very unique and awesome position to have the amazing family that I have, and I don't necessarily seek that out as much as I did when I was younger, because I'm content with who I am and who the people in my life are. And it's really hard to fucking get past that with somebody new that's coming in with a plethora of issues of their own. And it sounds shitty, but I don't have the room in my life to manage their fucking issues at this point.
Yeah. Because like right now I've you and another person that I'm like gotten close with and become friends with. And it's like, both of you, I'm like, my mentality is like, don't fuck this up. Cause I think, of me, it's like, is it me that's, cause I've had a few recently where it's just didn't work out and stuff, it just kind of faded away. And I'm like, I like those friendships, but it's like with you and the other person, it's like, I really like appreciate what we've got and everything going on. It's like I'm like I have that mentality, don't fuck this up. But it's like I got to stop thinking that too. Just be me, just if I want to send something, I'm going to send something. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get
I'm the opposite. Like
Yeah.
I'm just super chill. Like I don't know, I'm not good at responding right away. It actually probably drives Chaz crazy, but he's just gotten used to me now. But my best friend and I, we tend to turn off your we tend to not respond right away. We know that the other one's going to get back to the other one in like a day or two. Well, we know that obviously we got caught up, and then we'll get back to it. Unless it's like, oh my god, we're in the hospital right now or something like that. We're but we're not really saying anything that important either. So that's part of it. So I'm a little different.
Yeah. With me, I'm like, all right, well, that friendship's over.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, if Justin doesn't hear back in like 30 minutes, he's like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, man. And I've gone back and forth even with people I've known forever where it's like there's periods of like that. And then you're like, fuck that person. And then they come back and you're like, all right, I was probably
Cool
critical.
Right.
And
yeah. All right. We're cool now. I probably shouldn't do that all the time. And then you do it the next time anyway. Like,
yeah.
it's been 2 fucking hours. This is instant. What the hell, man?
Yeah. I know you read it, motherfucker. I see the red receipt on that. So
yeah.
It's stupid. I know it's stupid. But at this point in my life, I'm not going to change, man. I expect, if you reach out to me, I'm going to do unless I'm passed the fuck out, I'm going to respond to you, man. And it doesn't even have to be anything of great value that I'm saying, but it's like people that show up late, man. If you show up late, you're basically telling me you don't give a fuck about my time.
Or that your time is more important than my time.
Yeah. And it's not important enough for you to if we were gonna hang out or we're gonna go fucking have lunch or something and you're half an hour late, fuck you, man. I took the time to come spend time with you, dude. And I'm not saying my time is super valuable or you're gonna experience something so amazing by hanging out with me, but dude, if you want to hang out with me, you'll fucking be there on time. You won't fucking fuck around for hours and hours and be late. That's just it's disappointing to me on a human level. And when you're fucking 13, I get it, but when you're 30, get your shit together, man. Show up.
I was always like that though. And I think part of that too is my dad was always late for everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of my anxiety started.
Yeah.
So I always at an early age understood the importance of being on time.
Yep.
If you make a promise and a commitment, you stick with it. And
That's
to me, I was, raised on with not with necessarily my dad and stuff, but with coaches and teachers and stuff is 5 minutes early is on time. So you say you're going to be there at 1. If I'm there at 12:55, I'm on time. If I'm there at 12:56, I'm fucking late. So
when we first got together, that was her, dude. I remember one of our first interactions that was negative. It was way before we got together, but she was 17, 18 years old. And I said, her ex at the time was playing guitar in my band, right? And we needed to have our guitars set up. And I was going to take it in. And she's like, no, I got it. I totally got this. I'm going to do it. It's going to be great, dude. And the day of the show, I show up. I was like, did you get it done? She's like, I didn't get a chance to. And I lost my fucking mind on her, dude. It was awful. And that was she was always kind of the person that was going to be late, man. When she was younger, she was a stoner and she would be late to work and she'd get fired from jobs and she'd do this and she wouldn't show up on time. And it was one of the things that when we got together, I don't think for a second that I had anything to do with changing her or anything like that. But I think she stepped it up because she realized how important it was to me. And when I would explain to her the reasons why that was such a negative, when somebody would disrespect you, but I found, I'm sure with most people, she didn't think of it like that, and most people don't. They don't think about it well, I'm fucking being a dick because I didn't do what I said I was going to do, or I'm not showing up on time. But I think over the course of the years and everything, she kind of got where I was coming from with that, and she's not really like that anymore. You know what I mean? But it has nothing to do with me. It just had to do with her growing up and fucking realizing like, oh, that could be seen as shitty,
I was a
dude.
dumb kid. I did stuff like that. I still have issues sometimes with being, I wouldn't say on time. I'm really not. I don't have issues anymore. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I had to clear that up completely. So I will say this though, being late is like it's a side effect of some people's anxiety.
Yeah.
And it is hard to understand that when you're someone like Chaz. But like when I was I wasn't fucking around when I was late. I was like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And I just would freak out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to manage it that well. And so that's why I was consistently late at doing something. Some people still have that, but I do think that it's something you need to get together. It doesn't matter why or what. It is something that you need to get together. You need to be able to function in everyday life without being constantly late.
And I think 100%, like we were talking about how we manage each other's kind of issues as well. Like as much as she's, kind of gotten her shit together and been on time more, it's the same thing. I also understand the mindset that she has and the anxiety and how that affects her and how trying to get everything done before you leave. Like perfect example, like just in Texas right now, we needed to be there at like 9 o'clock to open the booth at the convention we were at. There's no way she was waking up and getting ready and being there by 9 o'clock. So I would go down and I'd take care of shit until she could get down there. And it's just one of those things. Like if it's something like that where you can fucking help the other person with whatever it is they're struggling with, you do that because you love them and they're a human being and you realize not everybody's the same. It goes back to that life experience that we all have, and it's so unique to ourselves that other people are not going to always understand it, and sometimes it still pisses me off. I'm still the guy that's going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? We have to be down there in 10 fucking minutes, dude, and you haven't even finished your fucking hair yet or something. But I also know on the other side of that, it's her way of managing her social anxiety.
It is.
Making sure she feels comfortable in her own skin when she has to take on hundreds of people that she doesn't know. And it's realizing that, while I can brush my teeth and brush my hair and go down there and fucking be the same dude I always am to these guys and talk to everybody and be personable, it would fucking give her like a panic attack to have to wake up, brush her teeth, get her hair combed, and go down there and talk to people. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it, but I get that it's not my job to understand it. It's my job to be supportive of the person she is, and we work together on that. She does the same shit for me with my issues, and it's just it's nice to have that fucking person that can take on the dumb shit that goes on in all of our brains. It's all, you may not have the same thing as me, you may not have even close, but you definitely have something going on in your brain that is not going to be perceived as the normal way to think about something or go about it. And it took a long time in my life to figure out that, we're all the protagonists of our own stories. So you think yours are the most important issues or the most viable fucking reasons for doing something, and it's just not the way it is. And I think that comes with maturity, but it also comes from people being able to approach these things in a way where when we were growing up, you couldn't approach them. You couldn't talk about these things. You couldn't, if you were with somebody or you were hanging out with friends and you had one of those fucking things that just sparked that in your brain, it's not something you could bring up because nobody A, wanted to hear it. They B, didn't care, and C, probably didn't believe you when you said it. So we've made huge strides at this point. I think there's a long way to go.
We still got a long way. People still get uncomfortable. Hearing about certain things. And you know what? I say the solution is sad. We've been talking a lot of shit about social media, but social media is a good platform for part of it. Be open and honest.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's just like the internet when it first came out. There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad that came with it. But if you can figure out which one you want to be a part of, then
exactly
do that.
Exactly.
And I appreciate the good of it. I appreciate that I don't have to go on MapQuest anymore, print out 3 fucking pages of where the hell I'm going. My phone will actually tell me on its voice what the fuck I'm driving now. And I love that. But
it's beautiful.
Yeah, but there's also all the bad with it too, of all the false information people get and everything else. So just be careful what you're doing with it. Use it in the right way. Just like nuclear energy. There's a lot of great that can come with it, but there's a lot of bad
There's a
too.
lot of bad too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And we're the type of civilization that does dumb shit. Like we'll build a fucking nuclear reactor on a fault line and then wonder why it fucking imploded and had a meltdown when we have a giant earthquake. I think that's the same symptom like we were talking about before when people make decisions on anything. It's like you only see 2 steps, man.
Yeah.
There's 100 steps behind every fucking decision that goes into any macro or micro decision that nobody takes into account anymore. They're just like, let's fix this shit right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll just worry about the other shit when it happens. Well, some of this shit is going to make it uninhabitable at a certain point. You can't, and I'm not even just talking about nuclear at this point. The environmental hazards, the human hazards that can happen on a micro scale are just never taken into account until they shit the bed, and then we all have another problem to worry about that we only takes 2 steps to think about, solve it fucking temporarily, and then we have 3 other problems when it breaks down. So it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, if you sell a $50 piece of art or $5 $10 pieces of art, you're still getting $50, right? It's just the sense of getting to it.
Exactly.
One or it's 6, whatever. So yeah.
And I think, the anonymity and everything else, I think that's the biggest problem with the internet, because even people that aren't anonymous at this point to say shitty things, they know there's no repercussions. And I don't think that that's necessarily the type of thing that molds us. But I think as we continue on this path where there are no repercussions, and the shittier and the greedier you are,
the more people appreciate it, like it.
We're shaping people that are just forming those opinions, dude, and just forming who they are. And it's just going to get worse, because you cannot, as much as I detest a large chunk of society and I want nothing to do with them, I also don't want anything horrible to happen to them. And as a human being, I don't want, mass death or just anything horrible. Like, people should be able to live and enjoy their life as best they can and not have anything horrible happen to them that is definitely in the control of other fucking people. And I think that's what we're experiencing more and more. Everything that is happening in this country, bad, good, whatever, is a controllable thing that we could work on to be better people to ourselves. I don't care if you voted against me. I don't care what you believe. I don't care anything about anything. Just treat people like human beings. And if there's a problem as a society, we have a responsibility, in my opinion, to try and address it in the most humane and ethical way we possibly can, even if we don't agree with it, because those are human fucking beings that we're talking about. And we're just casting them aside as garbage. And I think 50 years ago, it's not like this is a new thing. People have been shitty forever. But if you said openly, like, fuck those people, I hope they die, most people in a civilized society would be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And we don't say that anymore. We cheer them on and we join teams, dude.
Well, and my thing is too, is a lot of people, and something, that I do is I don't think that my time is any more valuable than someone else's time.
100%.
Or opinion, even at that. But it needs to go both ways. And I think a lot of people don't share that sentiment. They think that if I'm talking, I'm all that matters in that moment. No, everyone that you're talking to matters in that moment. And just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that theirs is any less than yours. And I think that's a problem too. And I think that's what makes people depressed and anxious, is because other people make them feel that their time and their opinion isn't as valuable as theirs.
Yep. It's not as valid because it's not coming from them. And
exactly. And that's a problem too. And that, that's why we're where we're at and having this conversation is,
100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we haven't so far, but if we have someone on this for the mental health that has totally different opinion and thoughts that I do, I'm going to respect those as much as the same people that share my same thoughts, because the whole point of this is I want to hear someone else's perspective, because maybe their way of thinking will actually help me in my way of thinking, because I'm so on this path right now. Maybe them saying, well, actually, I don't deal with that. I have this, and this is how I treat it. Like, oh shit, I should try that maybe and see if that helps. Who knows?
Yeah. And
Sometimes someone having a different opinion could actually help with how
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel about something.
it could. And here's the other thing: even if it doesn't help you and it has no bearing on your experience, it's like we said, man, this shit hits everybody differently, and that could
Mhm.
help one dude or
Yep.
one girl that's listening to this podcast hear something and go like, wow, they really think like I do, and they do this, and I've never tried that, but maybe let me give that a shot.
Yeah.
If you help one dude, it's the same thing as when you're doing music or art or anything else. If you reach one person, that's so much cooler than selling a painting for $20,000, dude.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, dude. That story I told you about, that guy that reached out to me about the music when I was like 16 or some shit. It still fucking feels good to know that something I did helped one person, dude. And I know it's helped more than one person, and I know there's more people that have been affected by like stuff that we've done and everything, and that's beautiful too. And I appreciate every single one of them.
Yeah.
But if it was only one, it'd be 100% worth all the hours and the pain and the money and everything else that goes into whatever I do. That's beautiful. That's a real human experience, dude. That we don't we don't get to experience that much anymore. It's everything is so digital and so far removed from that that human experience that I think when you do have them, it's almost more powerful now than it was 10, 15 years ago. And it's I think something I fucking strive for, and I'm sure most people do, even if they don't ever have it and they've never had it and they don't know it. Once they have that experience, it kind of feeds your soul, and it feeds a little bit into more about trying to be as good a person as you can and to affect people positively as much as you can. Even for some dude that has a room full of fucking serial killers, like being able to do that and have something help someone that you never have even had contact with, maybe.
Mhm.
Oh my god, it's the most euphoric thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And even without creative side, there's things out there that everybody can do to make sure that somebody's life is a little bit better instead of a little shittier when you walk away from them.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not always going to work, and I'm not always going to have the mindset going into it, but it's something I strive to do every day. I try to do. If your day can be spent trying to just make one person fucking smile or have a positive attitude, because here's the thing, man. We've been on your show a couple times, and we always have a good time. We always laugh, and we have a lot of stories, and that is what depression looks like, man. And a lot of people don't see it like that. People expect people to be in a dark room and be sad and not talk, but you know what depression looks like? It's a dude fucking cracking jokes and having a good time and laughing, and then an hour after the interview, sitting in his room staring at the fucking wall and not knowing what the fuck he's doing with his life. You know what I mean? That's what depression looks like, and I don't think enough people understand that. When you see, like, I wasn't a big fan of their music, but like when Chester Bennington died from Linkin Park, and they posted a video of him like the week before, just having a great time with his family and laughing and everything else. That's what it looks like, man. You don't see what's underneath for the most part. So if you go out into the world and you meet up with somebody, they may be fucking totally cordial and happy and smile at you, but that one extra thing you did maybe fucking keeps the fucking gun out of their hand at the end of the day. And maybe not, but why would you fucking risk it if you had the opportunity?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what we learned from this is, I mean, most of our repeat guests has been because they mentioned mental health in our conversation with them.
Yeah.
Bama and people from Fear Frontier and stuff like that. They're like, I'm like, oh shit, like never would have expected it. There's a couple people I really didn't expect it from, but you just don't know. And I've heard that from other people too. Like, dude, you always seem like really outgoing and you're really, excitable and stuff like that when we hang out. I'm like, yeah, because I'm hiding it. That's my first thing to do when I meet new people is I hide my shit, my fucked upness. I hide all that.
Of course you do.
That's my defense mechanism. I want you to think everything's cool because, in my opinion, if I don't do that, I'm going to overanalyze it when I get back home later that night. Like, oh man, like, they're going to think I'm an idiot, I'm a jerk, and da da da. So I need to put on this facade. And a lot of it is me. Don't get me wrong, but
of course,
it is my defense mechanism too. It's
of
I don't want people to. People can say all the time, I don't care what people think. I want like-minded people that are interested in the same shit that I am. I want them to like me. I want you both to like me. I want the people we work with our friends at Fear Frontier and Terror Trader and all that stuff. I want them to like me because I feel like I get along with these people, and you always want your peers and the people that like what you like to like you. Yeah, people that listen to different music than I do and everything. I couldn't care less if they like me or not. But people I think I can get along with that I want them to like me back.
Exactly. And it gets to a point, especially like, when you first start doing that, when this shit sets in or when you're younger, you do it for sure as a defense mechanism. I think when you get older, it just becomes so autopilot, you don't even realize you're doing it at a certain point. You've done those things to a certain extent for most of your life, and it's worked out for the better, and you do know, okay, this is the part of me that people fucking enjoy. And you can't convince yourself that the fucking other parts of you that you're not as happy with could be something that other people could appreciate or enjoy as well. But a lot of those things, especially for creative people, I think is what feeds most of the creativity. Like, it's not to say that there's not creative avenues where it's just, maybe that you make cartoons for a living and they're always jovial and they're for kids and you don't fucking hear anything like really dark in it. But I guarantee you something about that person's life or their experience, maybe fucking shoehorned a couple of those jokes in certain places, or things like that. A lot of the dark stuff that we have in us is what feeds that positivity coming out the other end. And I don't think a lot of people that don't experience those symptoms or have never experienced depression or anything like that, they don't understand it. And it's fine that they don't understand it, but I love the fact that we are in a part of our time frame and our society where, like I said, there's a long way to go, of course, but like we're starting to get to the point where, like, somebody having depression, or it doesn't automatically become, oh, well, they're just fucking sad, get over it, or something like that. People understand that that's a real fucking thing. And the face that you show to the majority of the planet doesn't have to be all that you are. There's layers to everybody. Some of it goes deeper, and some of it, we never see that side of people. But I think it's great that we're seeing more and more of it, or at least the availability, things like this, where we can sit and talk about something serious and something that isn't necessarily the happiest of conversations, but we can do it in a healthy way, and we can do it to where maybe it does help somebody and it gets a little bit more information out there about different experience and things like that. So it's a really good time to be here. Obviously, it'd be great if we could figure all this shit out in the future. That'd be the best time to be in. But I think the fucking fact that we have progress after hundreds of years and thousands of years of people dealing with these things and just thinking they were demons or something else, for the most part, we live in a great fucking point, because it means that people are still hopeful, and it means that people are still trying. And I don't think we've been there before, and I think half of it is not necessarily because they didn't want to, they just didn't understand it, but we're doing something about it now and trying to push forward with that. And I think that's probably the most beautiful thing you can take away from any of this. In the 80s, like, nothing happened. No, it was just, you're stupid. In the 70s, we used to take mentally challenged people and put them in fucking homes. We didn't try to understand what they were doing. These are things that are not that far removed from where we are. 50 years, 60 years is not that long ago that we were treating people with mental illness like they were garbage or they were something to be hidden away from society.
And it made them worse.
Yeah, of course it did.
Instead of talking about it, they would just treat them in different ways that they probably needed to be treated, but given them medications that actually made it worse.
Well, like my grandma, between the 70s and right at the beginning of the 80s, that maybe even into the 60s, I don't know, but I know she tried to kill herself at least 7 times.
Yeah.
And each time it was just treated with shock therapy. And of course, I was really super young at the time, but I don't think anyone ever sat her down and asked her what was wrong with her.
Right. Yeah.
I think they just, well, you're going to be locked in this mental ward for a little bit. We're going to do some shock therapy. We're going to send you home. You're going to be great. And it would be for a year or so, and then she'd try it again. But I don't think anyone ever asked her why.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That question needs to be asked.
Or like specifically what do you deal with? Instead of like just taking a couple things that they said to go, okay, we have medication for that.
Yeah.
but they need
Yep.
to be put into a home for it, Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So who
Because
knows?
it's easier to lock that shit away and pretend like society's
Yeah.
100% on the right side of things, and realize that, listen, most of the people that are in society have some of these issues. They don't manifest the same way. They may not be as extreme, but there's, for everybody that goes out there and does commit suicide, there are hundreds of people in that community that are going through the same shit. They just would never do that side of it. But you don't know what's going to push people over the top, and you don't know what's going on with them in their everyday life, So it's just, it's not just disrespectful, it's really irresponsible to approach any of these things like they have a set standard of how to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do that, man. And it's like you said, the face of what depression looks like and what brings you to the edge of making that decision looks so different from the outside than it does from the inside. There are, of course, people out there that are just, the stereotypical fucking Saturday morning cartoon of like somebody who's just slumped over and just sad. But most people I've known that are depressed or have serious fucking issues with it are some of the most life of the party fucking people you'll ever meet. And when you
Robin
see,
Williams, perfect
yeah,
example.
exactly. That is what depression looks like a
John
lot of times.
Belushi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Chris
Chris
Farley.
Farley.
Farley, yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. All three of us also.
And I know that Chris Farley didn't die because he wanted to commit suicide. He died because he was over medicating the shit out of himself.
Because he always thought he wasn't good enough for everybody.
Yeah.
He always thought he wasn't good enough. And
I
look,
get that. I totally get that. Like that's
I
right.
100% get
Sometimes
it.
I'm like, I have a hard time of wondering why someone's with me, why someone loves me the way they love me, because
Yeah.
I struggle with that. So I
Yeah.
get it. A lot of my thoughts are that like I should be alone. Like, why does this person love me? Why do they care about me? Who cares? If I die tomorrow, would they really care? That kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And rationally in your brain, some of those things that you just said don't make sense.
No.
But that's what people don't get, man. It
Mhm.
doesn't make sense, even to the people thinking them. They know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take the feeling away. And it doesn't make you fucking automatically just go like, oh, it's cool then. No, I know that's crap, so I'm just gonna get over it.
Yeah.
It's not how it works, man. And that's not how we're wired. And I don't know what the answer is, man. I'm not a fucking therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I know what works for me, and hopefully something that works for me might help for somebody else. But there's just so much more work to be done, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we evolve with this topic and with this scientific approach and everything else. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the future. I think if we can keep on a track where people care enough to fucking try and care enough to keep moving, that the world that my kid is going to inherit, and hopefully he doesn't have any of the shit that I have, but hopefully the world he's going to inherit is going to be an easier place for him to navigate because it's not stigmatized, and it's something we've been trying to help people with for an extended period of time. So that's the best I can hope for at this point, being open about it when people want to talk about it and ask you about it, and your experience with it is like one of the coolest fucking things to come out of that movement, is because the people that are fucking dealing with it now, it used to be the outside people telling you to keep it to yourself and shut up. The people that have been dealing with this for decades are finally to a point where they're like, look, I could keep this to myself and maybe it wouldn't upset my grandma or something, but like I could help somebody with it. And they're stepping the fuck out into the limelight, and they're putting themselves on the line saying like, look, these are the things that I think, these are the things that affect me. This is why I feel the way I do about certain things. And instead of being horrified that they won't be accepted still, they're starting to accept the fact that, you know what, if you don't accept this, it doesn't affect my life and it may help somebody else. So it's worth the risk of putting myself out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then really the last thing I have is it's kind of a two-part question. Do either of you do you still do therapy? And if so, how does that help? And if not, what do you recommend people doing if they don't want to do therapy to kind of help with anxiety and depression?
I just actually stopped doing therapy with a therapist that I was with for I think about a year and a half. So I just stopped because I felt like I was better. And I think that it did really help. And for some people, maybe it will or won't. I mean, mine was more talk therapy. So I was just able to talk and get, here and there kind of advice out. So I'd say that um, it can help for sure. There's something called cognitive behavioral therapy that is proven to be, it works wonders for like people like anxiety and sometimes depression. And that is something that I'd really like to, if I ever get back into therapy again, I'd really like to look into that. Um, but I think for a while I just needed to talk it out, and I did feel better because again, like Chaz was saying, we were kind of taught to just shut up, keep your mouth shut, and don't talk about things that make people uncomfortable. With a therapist, you don't have that at all. They want you to talk about the things that make other people feel uncomfortable, and they're never going to judge you. That's what they're there for. So yeah, absolutely, that can help. If it doesn't help, I would say don't don't dismiss the idea of medication. It can help. I mean, the shitty part about medication is that you do, and we were talking about this earlier, you have to try so many different things to find out what works for you. And that nobody has time or energy for that. But you have to do it sometimes. If you have severe depression, especially if you're suicidal and you don't want, or you just don't want to live, maybe that's not technically suicidal, but if you maybe don't care about living, or you've lost all interest in living, medication might be for you. You just have to give, if you've had patience this far, give it a little bit more patience, try different things. If that doesn't work, then I think the meditation thing would really, really help. And then the hobbies, trying to go out and do something. I would say my dad, he had a lot of problems, but he didn't have a whole lot of, he had hobbies when he was younger, but later in his life, he just didn't have anything else. He turned to drinking a lot. And the sad part is that when I was going through his things after he died, I found something that was just heartbreaking. And it was, he had to go, I mean, he had a drinking problem. He had to go to he didn't have to go, but he was going to like a 12-step program, which my thoughts on are irrelevant. They help some people, that's great. If they can help you, awesome. If not, then try something else. But he was going to that, and they had done an exercise on what it lists like 20 things that you want to do, like that you 20 different things that you really want and you're gonna do, like, and they were supposed to be things like go on
Visit China or
vacation,
something.
or what would you do if you had the means and anything. All my dad said, he just listed out all of these things that it made me so sad. It was all fixing the house stuff, and it was all chores. And I think one thing was, he'd take when my parents were together, they weren't together at the end, but one of them was, he'd take my mom out for a nice dinner. And that's such a normal everyday thing for a lot of us. I mean, obviously, not out a lot of us, especially not now. You can't afford shit anymore. But that's just, it's a normal thing. Just have a date night. Like, that's so sad that was on like his bucket list of ideas. And then I think another one was like spend more time with his grandson, our son. And it was just, I mean, but everything else was like paint the house, paint the fascia, redo part of the pool or something. And it broke my heart. So don't be like that, is my biggest advice. And that's the way that can help you. Don't turn to all of the work that you have to do in life. I'm sure, yeah, if you like doing projects, that's great, but maybe do something for you. Maybe go out, and you have to force yourself, but go out and go on a vacation, go someplace that you've never been. I'm not saying go spend all of your money doing it if you're in a financial hardship, but maybe you should. I don't know. It just depends. Whatever makes you happy. You can't let your mental illnesses drive you. And I mean, it does sometimes, but not all the time. You can have a very good reason to be the way that you are, but it could still be ruining your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, like me, even if someone doesn't have the finances to travel or do
right.
more expensive things, learn about a part of history you've always want to learn about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Learn about the Byzantine Empire, just as an example, or
Yep.
Ottoman Empire, or the Ming Dynasty, something like that. Learn about something because I tell you what, I went down the Spartacus War rabbit hole a couple years ago. Oh my God, it took like 6 months of my life. It was great because I learned about
Yeah.
in 3 years. I learned so much stuff of from
Yep.
I think it was like 73 to 70 BC. It was so cool learning about all that stuff and how it went and everything. It's like you could do that and take up so much of your time and
Yep.
learn and educate yourself, and you don't have to spend any money doing it.
Sometimes we just take drives and go down a road we've never gone down before.
Yeah.
We do that.
We've done that a
Yeah.
lot of times, especially when we had nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was always kind of funny because like it almost would lead to depression. Sometimes you
You'd
go
be
down
looking at these awesome houses and you're like, I live in an apartment.
Yeah, don't go down deserted roads.
Yeah, exactly.
Where there's no housing.
Right.
or there's businesses or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotta be careful with that too. Like, oh, we're in Paradise Valley now. Fuck these people.
Right. Dated a girl in Paradise Valley.
Yeah.
Oh, what about you, Chas?
I have never done any type of therapy or anything. I did go to a doctor once for my depression. They put me on some antidepressants. It made it about 1 billion times fucking worse. And I had like an incident, like instead of making me feel better, it just made me feel nothing and then anger all the time. Like just boiling fucking anger to the point where about 3 months in, I went to one of my friends was going to cash his check at the bank, and somebody said something to me about taking my hat off or something like that, and I fucking lost my goddamn.
And it's a
mind.
pretty known fact. You got to take your hat and sunglasses
Yeah.
off at a bank. I mean, that's not a surprise.
It wasn't. I mean, this was a long time ago, so maybe it was like newer then, but it was one of those things where, like I said, I wasn't even necessarily that angry, but I was always fucking angry. It was like that Hulk mode shit. And when I snapped, it was fucking bad, and I basically stopped taking my medication. And I went back in about 2 weeks later, and she asked how it was going, and I chucked my fucking pills at her, and I told her to go fuck herself, and I'd never gone back. That is not what I would assume is good advice for anybody dealing with anything.
Well,
it's
and
not.
there's a
but that's
missing
what happened.
component to that. I mean, you were not supposed to be on that medication.
That's true.
That's
because they also said, "Oh, well, you have OCD," and I was like, "Yeah, I fucking told you I had OCD when I came in here." And I don't even know medically if this is even true, but she's like, "Oh, well, if you have OCD, you shouldn't be on these pills because
Yeah.
it makes it worse."
But they only heard
And
one
I'm
thing.
like-
They heard depression.
Yeah,
From that, even though you said everything else after that, they heard
exactly.
depression, wrote on a little notepad, and then
Yep.
they tuned you out the rest of the time because now it's just free money. So
And they told me like, "Well, we can put you on this other shit," and that's when I chucked my pills at her and told her to go fuck herself. Now, like I said, that's not the best approach for anybody. Nobody should take that as like, "Oh, that's an example of how I should deal with my fucking mental health issues." But
medically, you should not do that. Yes.
yeah, but that being said, I have not been on any medication since then. I've not gone and talked to anybody. I don't know that it would help me, honestly. I don't know that it wouldn't, obviously, because I haven't done it. But I think for me, I've learned how to live with it to an extent where I'm happy with it. It's not dangerous for me. It's just one of those things that I deal with. It's probably there are things out there that could help with that, but I am not willing as a human being to go to that length. And I like I said, I don't like saying that because I think if you have the availability to get better or maybe do something that makes you feel better, then you should take that. It's just not for me. I'm not going to do it unless there's a reason where I can't handle it anymore. And up to this point in my life, I've been able to handle it. And I think I'm in a really, I always say it, but I think I'm in a really unique position with my wife and the people that are around me. I have a big trust issue with just about anybody. So me being able to open up and 100% give somebody who I am is going to be next to impossible with a fucking therapist. Some people can do it. I don't think I'm one of those people that can do it. I have my family, and if I need to talk to somebody about something on a core level like that, I know I have someone's ear, and that helps me.
Well, it's a form of therapy, isn't it?
It's still a
little bit.
form of therapy. She may not have the fucking doctorate degree on the wall or anything, but therapy at the end of the day, most of it is just being able to talk and get this shit out and hearing a different opinion. And I know the people that I can trust with that. And if it ever gets to a point where I have to do that, I have those people available. It's just I don't know, man. It's never been something that I would do, and I am a big anti fucking pill person. Not for everybody, but for me, because every time I've taken pills, like I have a real bad reaction to it. It's either way more than it should be, or it doesn't do shit, and I feel like I'm just so I just stay away from it. Like when I had kidney stones, they gave me fucking Percocet, and I told them to fucking keep them. The only reason I was in the hospital for those things was to make sure my appendix wasn't going to burst and kill me. If I know I'm not going to die, I'll suffer through the pain, man. It's fine.
Here. Yep.
But that's just me. That you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably not the best advice
That's
for some
probably
people,
not,
but
a
lot of people feel that way. So
Yeah, and I'm the same way. It's like I had a bad experience like you do with antidepressants early, and it's like, and then the last one I had, I'm like, I'm just done. I'm
yeah.
up there just not listening to everything I say. Now, if you go to the doctor and they're listening to you, they've jotted all the issues down that you gave them, not just a couple keywords that you said.
Yeah.
And you really think the doctor is taking your best interest at hand, then maybe, try medication. But if for some reason you just feel like it is hurting you more than helping you, I don't advise coming off of them right away, especially nowadays, because you just don't know what the side effects are. Go back to your doctor, say these are not working. That's what I did. I said these are not working, and they couldn't. They were like, "Well, this is the best thing for what you have." I said, "Then I'm just going to deal with it."
Yeah,
and that's when I started looking at therapy. So, but
Therapy's
just know your body, know what your body's telling you, and listen to it.
Yeah.
Don't freak out, because a lot of people with anxiety and depression will freak out more
Yeah.
when their body tells them something that they're not used to their body telling them.
Yep.
So don't freak out either, but just go see the doctor again and just tell them what's going on. And then if they try to prescribe more shit that you just don't think is going to work, just don't take it, and go seek therapy at that point, because that might be all that you need as well.
And therapy can be a fucking great thing. I think honestly, I'd probably be more open to it if I didn't have the people.
And I get that too. Yeah.
Having that support group is a huge difference between somebody like me and somebody that is trying to do this on their own, man.
Yeah.
It's I'm not saying it's impossible to do it on your own. Millions of people fucking do it, obviously, but those millions of people aren't you. If you need to talk to somebody, man, if you need somebody to be able to listen to what you're saying without that judgment, like therapy is a huge fucking deal. It's like Alicia, when her dad died, I was there for 100%, and me being the dipshit that I am, when she started going to therapy, I felt a twinge of like, what, am I not good enough? You know what I mean? To fucking talk to, and like, why can't I be enough for you to fucking be okay? But I had to step back and go like, you know what? I'm not, because she loves me and she's connected to me. This is somebody completely removed from the situation, dude. Like, no matter how many times she would come to me and I'd fucking hold her and she'd cry and we'd talk about things and we'd go over things with her dad, there's always that fucking bit of me that is there for her because I love her. It's not just, accepting the information and trying to process it. It's like, I'm going to do everything I can for her. And she needed that disconnect, man. And it took me a little while to get to that point, which is stupid, but it's the reality. So it's awesome that she had somebody to talk to outside of just like me, or just her mom or whoever she was talking to. It's not really her mom, but it was great to have somebody other than just me, so she could feel like maybe she could get a little bit extra of that stuff out, and it's not the same as it is.
I wanted to make sure also that I wasn't holding everything in, because I mean, as far as both of us, we're both too close to the picture, and even Chaz might not be able to see that I'm holding stuff in, and I might not realize it. And so I felt like going to a therapist was I think it was kind of key to make sure that I wasn't going to blow up and freak out later. And, I wanted to make sure that that was the case. And I also wanted to do that cognitive behavioral therapy. Like I said, I didn't achieve that this last time. I think my therapist isn't well versed in that. and that was fine, because what really helped me with her was talking it out and finding triggers for my anxiety and setting up a plan to figure out what I need to do about my mom. Really, I went to therapy for my dad's death, and what I ended up doing is setting up a plan and boundaries for my mother and our relationship, because I realized that is the true cause of my anxiety. What I feel for my dad's death is just grief. It's plain upsetting grief, and that's something you just have to live through. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's what my therapy did. Is it kind of after one of my last therapy sessions, I had an epiphany of why I don't think my time is valuable sometimes in situations that I'm in. And that's something for another episode we could do, because it's quite a bit. Yeah, and we can go over that another time. But that's essentially what it was, and it's something I need to talk with the person that's responsible for about. But I finally had that epiphany of, this is where a lot of my social anxiety comes from, and I think getting it off my chest with the person that caused it is going to help tremendously too. So
Yeah.
So so if you can figure that out as well, go to the source, go to the person that you think is responsible about it, talk to them in a nice manner. Don't just go off on them. Don't go, Chaz is 1, 2 to 10, but have a game plan, write it down what you want to talk about, and just get it off your chest. So
yeah, absolutely. I think it's imperative that you do that, because and like, I didn't go into this in detail, but with my father and his death, the way it was a suicide, and that was very upsetting. And if he had gotten more stuff off of his chest, maybe he wouldn't have been so deep into alcohol, and maybe he would have not, maybe he would still be alive,
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you need to do. And also, if you need to say something, like I don't talk about it a lot, because I think I'm very socially aware of, I'm not going to, for one, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't like that. My dad's death is sad because he's gone and he's dead from this world, and that's sad to me, and I miss him dearly every single day. But I don't need the sympathy or anything like that, because it was a suicide. But I will say that he was, if he was just maybe more open, more honest, and he said things once in a while that he felt like he was a burden to people, I think is what I'm trying to say. And if he just said things to make other people feel uncomfortable sometimes, it might have been fine. He might have felt better, and maybe he wouldn't have turned to alcohol. Maybe he would have been, and gone to therapy a little more. I mean, sad as it is, I don't know how many of those VA crisis pins I found in his house. He called them several times. He was a veteran, so he called the VA over the suicide crisis line. And they couldn't help because he was too far gone. I don't want to say he was too far gone, but for him, that is what happened at that point. They couldn't help him then. But he should have maybe tried that a long time ago. And
I think because he was so far into the alcoholism at that point, and he had some physical issues as well because of the alcohol. I think by the time he started reaching out to those resources, it's not that it was too late. He had done so much damage to his mind and his body at that point that it was almost impossible to pull him completely back into, a different mindset, unfortunately.
But he should have tried that a long time ago, I think is what.
Yeah. And I
100%.
It took me a long time. It took a long time for her to realize I was going through shit. Almost 10 years.
Because he just kept hiding it from me.
Yeah.
Because you feel bad. You feel like you're a burden.
I feel like I'm wasting her time with my shit. That bottom line.
You're not.
Yeah. But I the way I was raised, the way everything was, that's how I felt. Like,
Yeah. I think I got lucky in that respect because Elisha had known me from music. Like, she was a fan before, we were friends, and then we were best friends before we were a couple. So she got, unfortunately, a front row seat to the fucking crazy shit that would come out of me from time to time. And she was well aware of that before we got together. I think obviously it was compounded when we got together because you go from like seeing somebody every couple days to seeing them every single day, and you see those lows that you never experienced before.
Yeah.
But I always say I'm super lucky because she knew what she was getting into when we started this whole fucking journey together and everything. And it's hard sometimes, but when somebody chooses you on top of the fact that they know you're a little fucking nuts, it's beautiful. Like she still wants to be here,
I kept
knowing what
pushing her away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't go away. So
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I hate saying shit like that, especially in conversations like this, because I know that's so fucking rare to find that person that can accept you for who you are. And everybody says it, but it's a lot different to fucking mean it and actually do it than it is to say it, dude.
Well, and maybe it's not a significant other that they need to be looking for.
Yeah,
maybe the answer
exactly.
is right there in their own family, like their mother or father, or maybe their sister or best friend, or even a coworker you just didn't know, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But
anyone. So yeah.
you know, at the same time, it's like we just talked about friendships and how it's hard to maintain those because of the standards we set for ourselves in that respect. Some people don't have that and they're not going to, so you have to have those other avenues available, and you have to have those thought processes like, look, maybe I am on my own in a lot of different ways with this, but there are resources out there. And you know what? If I've never met you before, I would rather you stay here and be on the fucking planet with me. So maybe I can run into you, and maybe, you know, any of those things, like no matter what the fucking circumstance is, I want you to fucking beat this. And you're never going to beat it, but I want you to fucking be able to fight it down enough to where you want to fucking be here, because there are those things. It's such a cliche to say that, like, you know, something great is coming. Maybe not, but something fucking worth being here for is coming, dude. I guarantee you, no matter where you are in life, no matter how shitty it is right now, at some point there's going to be something there, even if it's just a small interaction, that you were better off for fucking having experienced it than fucking taking the dive and getting out now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And suicide, obviously, I wasn't going to say anything until Alicia brought it up, because it's not my fucking place to put that out there. But I don't know anybody who hasn't been touched by that at one point or another. Like, obviously, having my father-in-law be a victim of that. And, you know, we've had friends that have it may not have been a suicide, but we've had friends that have basically drank themselves to death at like 30 years old, man. You find them in their fucking house a week after they passed away and things like that. And it's just it's soul crushing to see a life snuffed out over things like this, because there are resources available, and we should be doing better as a society to make sure people don't get to a point where it feels so hopeless that they give up. You know, I felt like that. Everybody's felt like that. If you've never been to the point where you even contemplated it, you're never going to understand the mindset. But there's people out there struggling with that every fucking day, and we don't do anything for them. So it's like I said, it's really beautiful. We're in a time frame where we're trying a little bit, and it's maybe 1% of what we need. But
we have to look at the suicide rate. It's been, and I'm not going to go any further on that because that's a whole other thing for us. But the suicide rate is out of control. So we have to try. Everybody together has to try something, because it's a tragedy.
For sure.
And nobody fucking thinks about it until it fucking happens, because it's never going to happen to you. Here's a fucking weird little tidbit, and then I'll fucking stop. But when her father passed, we had been saying for months, like, dude, I'm really worried about him. I think something's gonna happen, and blah blah blah. And we would try, and she would try to fucking do whatever she could, and he would push it off, and he'd push it off. And then one day I was going to send a painting to some client out in Texas. And she's at work. I'm going to drop off this painting at the post office, and I get a call from her mother. And it's the worst fucking thing I've ever had to do, is turn my car around. Hold on. And come home and tell her that. And it does. It affects everything. Everything ripples out.
No, I get it.
So we need to do better.
Mhm.
No, I agree. And I mean, a lot of people are still afraid to say that they're having suicidal thoughts or they're suicidal because they're afraid that you're going to get arrested and put in jail and be monitored. And, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I had a situation like that, which I think we're just going to do a second part to this at some point. That I could go into with my situation that I had and all that, because it's a pretty detailed story as well. Before we met.
Yeah.
And if you guys would like to, I would like to do a second part to this at some point.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Although I think this might already be a two-parter. It's so long, right?
Yeah. But yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was coming. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've had
You're good.
Yeah, I had a recent episode, the one prior to this one, I had a breakdown moment, so don't worry about it. So
That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're saying is you need to break down.
yeah,
Do it.
yeah. So, but don't be afraid. Like, have someone that you really, really trust if you're having those thoughts, and tell them that you're having those thoughts. Someone that isn't going to have you arrested or put you in the hospital or something like that when it's unnecessary, because that's only going to make the situation worse. The last thing you want when you're feeling suicidal is be surrounded by a bunch of people you don't fucking know telling you that you need to get help. No shit, I need to get help. I'd rather get help not in a hospital right now, or not in jail right now, or in a courthouse.
Exactly.
People that care about me, that I know care about me. So tell someone that you really trust about it. And more than likely, they're not only going to have probably an answer for you to get help, but they also might be that help that you're needing. So
Exactly. Sometimes it's just getting that out and not having the judgment and feeling like you can say what you need to say without having that come back at you, thrown back at you.
Exactly.
It's amazing what talking about things can do for you, man. And
or just mentioning how you're feeling. Simple as
And
that.
the people who are offering help shouldn't be afraid to ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you okay? And maybe not just are you okay, but like, are you okay to be alone? Do you feel like you want to hurt yourself? Those are things we need to make normal. As weird and uncomfortable as they make people feel, they need to be normalized.
And that's why I say do it with someone that you really trust and that cares about you, because those tough questions are easier to answer with those people than someone in a hospital or a courthouse.
Yeah.
So exactly.
it may take a little bit of a buildup for you to finally let that shit go and let the ego go and show somebody who you are. But once it fucking starts, man, it's gonna feel like the weight is just fucking peeling off you, man. It's the most beautiful thing to be able to share that with somebody and not have that judgment come back and throw it in your face.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, again, we thank you guys so much for doing this. We really appreciate it, and we're gonna have you on again to go in a little more detail.
Yeah.
So
Always, man. Like,
Love
we
it.
love you guys, and we will always be here for you. If you ever want to fucking bullshit or have me scream for an hour, I'm always here.
cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chaz rants. Chaz rants are fun.
Yep. The 1-2 atomic. Yes. Yeah. Thank you again. We appreciate it. So
Always, man.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
of course.
Drumming up conversation.